Answer. To resonate in frequency with the ultimate Tao. Resonating in frequency is the only correct and effective method to attain the ultimate Tao. If two people resonate in frequency, no matter how far apart they are or whether they have ever met, they can become inseparable, intimately connected once they do meet. If a group of people resonate in frequency in their views on life, values, life, morality, and the universe, regardless of differences in race, gender, culture, status, or appearance, they can still be as close as family and live harmoniously together. If we resonate in frequency with gods in our consciousness and thinking, we ourselves become gods. If we resonate in frequency with the Buddha, we become Buddhas. If we resonate in frequency with celestial beings, we become celestial beings. Similarly, if one resonates in frequency with a pig, one becomes a pig. If one resonates with a dog, one becomes a dog. The success of Life Genuine's second home is due to the fact that it is maintained not by emotion, but by values. As long as everyone resonates in frequency with the values, no matter how many people, 10, 100, 1,000, 100,000, or 100 million, there will still be warmth, harmony, and order. If there is any deviation in frequency, conflicts and disputes will arise, leading to illusions, deceit, and fragmentation. Emotion is necessary. It is like blood in the human body. One cannot live a day without emotion. With emotion, there is heaven. Without emotion, there is hell. However, to enter heaven, one must resonate in frequency with the beings and order of heaven. Relying solely on emotion will not lead to heaven. The ultimate Tao cannot be pursued through emotion but must be achieved by perfecting the non-material structure of life and resonating in frequency with the desired realm. This is one of the teachings I wish to convey today. 无为和有为的含义及区别. The meaning and distinctions between non-action and purposeful action. Xiefeng. March 10, 2011. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Non-action, Wu Wei, aligns with the way of heaven. Purposeful action, Yu Wei, aligns with the way of humanity. Non-action means complete alignment with nature, operating according to objective laws, letting things rise and fall, bloom and wither, come and go with the seasons, wax and wane without worry or thought. As the Heart Sutra says, no sensation, no perception, no mental formations, no consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, or mind. No form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind. No realm of the eye, up to and including no realm of mind consciousness. No ignorance and no ending of ignorance, up to and including no old age and death, and no ending of old age and death. No suffering, no cause of suffering, no cessation of suffering, and no path. No wisdom and no attainment with. Nothing to attain. It means to be free from delusional dreams, to have a heart without attachment, fear, or dwelling, to be unselfish and free from desires, to accept things as they are, follow the natural flow of relationships, act in accordance with one's nature, and seize opportunities as they arise. Purposeful action, Yu Wei, involves fully utilizing one's intelligence, maximizing the satisfaction of desires and needs, and using one's will to change everything around them according to their own wishes. Non-action is like the ocean. Purposeful action is like the waves. Sakyamuni Buddha said, all sages and saints are distinguished by their practice of non-action. Purposeful action represents the common people, the multitude of sentient beings. Non-action represents the sages and saints. The difference between wisdom and foolishness is measured by whether one practices non-action or purposeful action. Sages practice non-action, while the foolish practice purposeful action. Thus, the Tao Te Ching states, therefore, the sage deals with affairs through non-action and teaches without words. The way of the greatest creator is the non-action, yet nothing is left undone way. Those who follow the way of the greatest creator must enter a state of non-action. I have already explained the 8 characteristics of the way of the greatest creator. Before the way of the greatest creator, all human efforts are insignificant. Only by merging with the way can we attain the way and become one with it. Why should we merge with the way? Because only by merging with the way can we achieve eternal life, become celestial beings, handle all affairs effortlessly, and attain wisdom and freedom in the vast universe. In reality, merging with the way means merging with the greatest creator. When this happens, the wisdom of the greatest creator becomes our wisdom, and we enter the Elysium world. As long as a person has selfish desires, as long as they possess or wish to possess something, as long as their heart is attached, has desires, worries, or anxieties, they will inevitably engage in purposeful action and will not become a saint, celestial being, or Buddha. As long as a person's heart is tied to marriage, family, religion, political parties, or nations, as long as they have thoughts, family ties, property, status, or reputation, as long as they worry about food, clothing, shelter, transportation, birth, aging, illness, and death, as long as they have desires, dependencies, hopes, fears, worries, or anxieties, they are undoubtedly practitioners of purposeful action. All their actions and words are manifestations of purposeful action, not non-action. The highest state of life is to have nothing. Only by having nothing can one reach heaven, the free world. Having nothing allows one to possess everything. The more unselfish one is, the more they achieve their desires. The more one possesses, the more troubles they encounter, and the further they are from heaven. The more one practices non-action, the more they can accomplish without effort. I establish the second home and urge you to strive to enter it, because only in the second home can you gradually enter a state of non-action. In the secular world, not only will you fail to understand non-action, but even if you do, you cannot reach the state of non-action. In the secular world, you can only practice purposeful action. I have paved a smooth path to heaven for you. As long as you follow the path I have laid out for you, your future will be bright and indescribably wonderful. Remember, all conditioned phenomena are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, a shadow, like dew or a flash of lightning. Thus should you view them. 当认为自己对时已经错了. When you think you are right, you are already wrong. Xiefeng, June 25, 2011. Translation edited by Qin Yu. I do not see right or wrong. Everything unfolds in an orderly manner. Nothing in the universe is wrong, and no one's words are wrong. A white horse is not a horse is correct, and a white horse is also a horse is correct. Saying everything is empty is correct, and saying everything is real is also correct. Saying truth is falsehood is correct, and saying falsehood is truth is also correct. Saying the guide of Life Genuine is a big fool is correct, and saying the guide of Life Genuine is a god is also correct. Everyone's actions are correct. Someone building a house is correct, and someone demolishing a house is also correct. Someone engaging in construction is correct, and someone engaging in destruction is also correct. Someone honoring their parents is correct, and someone not honoring their parents is also correct. Someone who loves cleanliness is correct, and someone who loves messiness is also correct. Someone who likes to explore the truth and live with clarity is correct, and someone who prefers to live in ignorance is also correct. Someone who wishes to go to hell is correct, and someone who wishes to go to heaven is also correct. Someone who practices dictatorship is correct, and someone who practices democracy is also correct. Someone who likes eating steamed buns is correct, and someone who likes eating rice is also correct. Someone who likes meat is correct, and someone who prefers vegetarian food is also correct. We cannot say that others are wrong while we are right. To say others are wrong is to judge from our own standpoint, which is a flawed judgment that fails to consider the standpoint of others. When we consider the standpoint of others, we find that differing viewpoints or actions are also correct. Who can say that the behavior and values of cats are correct while those of mice are wrong? Who can say that winter is wrong and summer is right? Who can say that fruit-bearing trees are right while non-fruit-bearing trees are wrong? Who can say that birth is right and death is wrong? All events and phenomena in the universe are not wrong. Earthquakes are not wrong, volcanic eruptions are not wrong, droughts are not wrong, and floods are not wrong. It is not wrong for people to kill, set fires, steal, or rob, and it is not wrong for others to stop these actions, fight against them, and punish those responsible. This is called each performing their duty, each bearing their responsibility. Everyone plays their role, and who can say that a fox eating a chicken or a wolf eating a sheep is wrong? Who can say that thorns on rose branches are wrong? Who can say that it is wrong for crops to grow while weeds are right? Our efforts to create the Life-Changuan era are correct, and those who oppose and obstruct the creation of the Life-Changuan era are also correct. Everyone is playing their own role in their own way. Everything is a game. As long as we are immersed in the process, it is fine. It is not practical to insist that everyone must follow our will. It is in accordance with the Tathagata's intention for all life to blossom according to its nature. Do not try to change others or the world, as it is not only thankless but also contrary to natural laws. The most important thing is to express your own Tathagata nature. If you love eating noodles, then eat noodles. If you love eating steamed buns, then eat steamed buns. If you love going to hell, then go to hell. If you love going to heaven, then go to heaven. A forcibly twisted melon is not sweet, and forcing a cow to drink water goes against heavenly will. This means that when we think we are right and others are wrong, we are already wrong. Now, let's consider the other side of things. For thousands of years, humanity has lived in worry, pain, trouble, anxiety, conflict, and fear. This fact proves that humanity has been walking on the wrong path. Our understanding of life, time and space, life, and the origin of existence is wrong. Our ways of thinking are wrong, and our values and views on life are wrong. Therefore, any person within this huge, wrong thinking circle, regardless of how they judge things, speak, or act, is wrong. Thus, when any person thinks they are right, they are already wrong. Anyone who believes they are right is in elusive thinking. Is there someone who is right? Answer: yes. If a person is free from worry, pain, anxiety, concern, and fear, then they are right. Everything they say is right, and everything they do is right. Existence itself and things themselves have no right or wrong. However, I am discussing right and wrong here, which proves I am also wrong. Because I can prove that I am wrong, I am right. But because I think I am right, I am wrong again. 感性理性知性灵性 Sensibility, rationality, intellectuality, and spirituality. Xiefeng, May 27, 2012. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Mr. Shrek the Monster has introduced us to the Mysteries of Life series, Extraterrestrial Civilization Contact Volume, which mentions that 37,000 years ago, there was a continent called Lemuria floating in the Indian Ocean. The civilization of that era was centered around sensibility. About 10,000 years ago, during the Atlantis period, human civilization was primarily centered around rationality, and in the following 10,000 years, human civilization centered around intellectuality. And what about the future? In the future, human civilization will evolve towards spirituality, which is also the symbolic mark of the Life-Changuan era. Now, I will explain the meanings and significance of sensibility, rationality, intellectuality, and spirituality. We should not look up definitions in dictionaries. Chinese culture is divinely created, and Chinese characters are divinely created. We should understand sensibility, rationality, intellectuality, and spirituality directly from the meanings of the words themselves. Firstly, the common point among sensibility, rationality, intellectuality, and spirituality is nature. Sensibility is to feel nature. Rationality is to understand and organize nature. Intellectuality is to know and comprehend nature. And spirituality is to approach nature flexibly and dynamically. Nature is the essence of the universe. Take care of the big things, and the little things will take care of themselves. When we feel, understand, organize, know, and approach nature flexibly, the mysteries of life, and the universe become clear. What is the universe? The universe is nature. The myriad things in the vast world are all nature, all manifestations of nature. Nothing can exist apart from nature. Mountain nature, water nature, fish nature, bird nature, beast nature, human nature, divine nature, demonic nature, flower nature, Buddha nature, etc. Who can exist without nature? The core of Buddhist philosophy is nature. The one who best inherited the wisdom of the Buddha, Shakyamuni, is Kashyapa. Shakyamuni held a flower and Kashyapa smiled. Others did not understand. Kashyapa is the ancestor of Zen Buddhism. The core figure of Zen Buddhism is Bodhidharma. Bodhidharma was the last Indian Zen master and the first in the Eastern lands. Thus, in China, Bodhidharma is called the ancestor of Zen Buddhism. The treatise on the bloodline of the patriarch clearly states, Buddha is nature, and nature is Buddha. Therefore, practicing Buddhism is practicing nature, and practicing nature is practicing Buddhism. Seeing one's true nature is becoming a Buddha. What I guide in Life Genuine is nature, love, and Tao. Why practice nature, love, and Tao? This is determined by the three essential elements of the universe: consciousness, structure, and energy. Tao is the characteristic of consciousness, nature is the characteristic of structure, and love is the characteristic of energy. Therefore, we need to practice nature, love, and Tao. After 2013, humanity will enter a new civilization, the Life Genuine era. The characteristic of the civilization in the Life Genuine era is spirituality. Spirituality is the nature of celestial beings. In the coming 1,000 years, all members of humanity will live like celestial beings. Time is the best standard to test truth. Facts speak louder than words. The current life in the second home established by Life Genuine is the life of celestial beings. There are no conflicts, no arguments, no deception, no intrigue, no suffering, no anxiety, no worries. No one pockets anything found on the road, and doors are unbolted at night. Everyone is happy, joyful, free, and content, living like celestial beings. Why is this possible? Because we have inherited human civilization, having gone through the stages of sensibility, rationality, and intellectuality, and have now entered the era of spirituality. The main feature of the human spiritual civilization era is to live out the Tathagata nature, living entirely according to the will of the Creator, the greatest Creator. It is to bloom one's own nature freely and without restraint. The sixth patriarch of Zen Buddhism, Huineng, has classic explanations of self-nature. All phenomena are inseparable from one's own nature. How unexpected! The self-nature is originally pure. How unexpected! The self-nature is originally neither arising nor ceasing. How unexpected! The self-nature is originally complete in itself. People should approach nature flexibly and dynamically, live in nature, not in immorality, ethics, ideology, truth, doctrine, nation, religion, political party, family, or organization. People no longer pursue, possess, or control anything but bloom their own nature freely and timely like flowers. Those who cannot feel nature are ignorant. Those who cannot understand or organize nature are foolish. Those who do not know nature are ignorant. Those who do not approach nature flexibly and dynamically are barbaric. Everything is nature. The entire universe is a dance of nature. Attempting to transcend nature is as foolish and ignorant as someone pulling their own hair to lift themselves off the ground. If practice and cultivation do not confront nature or do not practice nature, it is like scratching an itch through a thick glove. It is off-topic, upside down, and illusory. It is not only difficult to achieve happiness, joy, freedom, and contentment in life, but also impossible to reach the Elysium world of heaven. How to practice nature? It is subtle and profound, difficult to articulate. The best method is to follow my roadmap. I am the guide for the human spirit and soul. As long as you follow my guidance, your wishes will be fulfilled and your ideals will be realized. This can be verified by the Chanyuan Celestials living in the second home. Of course, the Chanyuan Celestials are still in the initial stage and have a long way to go to live in nature, but this initial stage already proves that my roadmap is entirely correct. When the Chanyuan Celestials reach the intermediate stage, their experience will be even more beautiful and joyful. Who am I? Am I a messenger of the greatest Creator? An incarnation of God, Buddha, Celestial, and Saint? A great guiding spirit born in Northwest China? Do not worry about it. Treat me as your soulmate and communicate openly. Feel if I have any demands on you. If I do, then I am a demon. If I do not, and instead guide you step by step to the peak of life and life, why not take advantage of it? Why not do a business that only gains and never loses? Face reality and yourself honestly. Act according to your nature. Discard hypocrisy and falsehood. Do not make a fuss. Do not be hysterical. Do not attempt to escape reality. Live authentically and be yourself. Otherwise, you will not enter the new human civilization, the life-genuine era of spirituality. 自性佛性如来本性天性 Self-nature, Buddha nature, Tathagata nature, and heavenly nature, innate nature. Xiefeng, June 7, 2012. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Self-nature is Buddha nature, and Buddha nature is Tathagata nature. Self-nature, Buddha nature, and Tathagata nature are Buddhist terms representing different expressions of understanding ultimate reality. In essence, whether it is called a potato, yam, or spud, they all refer to the same edible item. Tea, mung bean soup, milk, coffee, Coca-Cola, alcohol, blood, penicillin, etc. all share one common element, water. This water is self-nature, Buddha nature, and Tathagata nature. The principle behind the statement, all sentient beings have Buddha nature, lies in this concept. Self-nature, Buddha nature, and Tathagata nature are the original elements that constitute any entity. Adding or subtracting something from the original state results in various complex and diverse forms. Whether it is an elephant, an ant, a rabbit, a horse, a snail, an ox, a human, a Buddha, a demon, a god, or a monster, they all share one common element, nature. This nature is Tathagata nature, Buddha nature. By adding or subtracting something from this Tathagata nature, different life forms emerge. Just as humans, whether male or female, share the common element of being human, the difference lies in their structure, resulting in the distinction between men and women. A house, regardless of whether the door faces east, south, west, or north, whether it is made of iron, wood, plastic, or paper, regardless of the size of the windows, the roof material, or the interior area, is still called a house. Every kind of life is one, and all life is one. This oneness is self-nature, Buddha nature, Tathagata nature. In this sense, all beings are equal. Adding feathers and wings to this oneness results in flying insects and birds. Adding hands results in humans. Reducing mobility results in trees and plants. Increasing mobility results in animals. The oneness can be large or small, round or square, long or short, colorful or plain. An elephant, no matter how large, is one. An ant, no matter how small, is one. A butterfly, no matter how colorful its wings, is one. A moth, no matter how plain its wings, is one. How unexpected! The self-nature is originally pure. How unexpected! The self-nature is originally neither arising nor ceasing. How unexpected! The self-nature is originally complete in itself. How unexpected! The self-nature is originally unshakable. How unexpected! The self-nature can produce all phenomena. Self-nature is like this, and so are Buddha nature and Tathagata nature. Self-nature is self-harmonious, and naturally, Buddha nature and Tathagata nature are also self-harmonious. Neither arising nor ceasing, neither defiled nor pure, neither increasing nor decreasing. No sensation, no perception, no mental formations, no consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, or mind. No form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind. No realm of the eye, up to and including no realm of mind consciousness. No ignorance and also no ending of ignorance, up to and including no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death. No suffering, no cause of suffering, no cessation of suffering, and no path. No wisdom and no attainment with nothing to attain. A person's Tathagata nature is self-harmonious. Without Tathagata nature, it is not self-harmonious. A man must unite with a woman to achieve a certain level of self-harmony, and similarly, a woman must unite with a man to achieve a certain level of self-harmony. Tathagata nature has no gender distinction, nor does it have distinctions of size, length, height, weight, beauty, or ugliness. This is like the debate over whether human nature is inherently good or evil. In reality, not only at the beginning of life, but even in the middle and at the end, human nature has no distinction between good and evil. Only when this nature is expressed can it be judged as good or evil. Once this nature is expressed, It is no longer Tathagata nature but the unique nature of a thing or life. At this point, we must ask, what nature is exhibited by a cat eating a mouse, a wolf eating a sheep, or a cow eating grass? Is it self-nature? Is it Buddha nature? Is it Tathagata nature? The answer is none of these. They exhibit their respective heavenly natures. The terms cruel by nature and kind by nature originate from this. What is exhibited by various things and lives is not self-nature, Buddha nature, or Tathagata nature, but heavenly nature. Just as tea, alcohol, and milk have water as their main component, they do not exhibit water but their respective different natures. Heavenly nature is the characteristic given by the Creator to each thing in life, different from other things and lives. The structural elements of each thing and life are the same, but due to different structures, they exhibit different characteristics. Just as wooden beds, wooden doors, wooden tables, wooden stools, and wooden windows are all made of wood, but due to different structures, they exhibit different characteristics. In this sense, self-nature, Buddha nature, and Tathagata nature are like wood, while heavenly nature is like beds, doors, tables, stools, and windows. Here arises a question. Should a thing or life exhibit Tathagata nature or heavenly nature? The answer: it must exhibit heavenly nature. If it exhibits Tathagata nature, then all things and lives will be uniform, with no distinction of levels. The vast world will have a single appearance, either all water or all wood. Only by exhibiting heavenly nature can there be a dazzling array of diversity, with tea, alcohol, milk, doors, windows, tables, chairs, plants, animals, humans, celestials, gods, demons, goblins, and monsters. The Creator's will is not for things and lives to exhibit self-nature, Buddha nature, or Tathagata nature, but to exhibit their respective heavenly natures, each fulfilling its role. A table functions as a table, not as wood. Milk does not fulfill the function of milk, but insists on fulfilling the function of water, which is contrary to Tao and will cause distress. I previously said that one should bloom like a flower, exhibiting Tathagata nature, and that a cat catching a mouse exhibits Tathagata nature. This is inaccurate and confuses Tathagata nature with heavenly nature. However, I said this to align with the traditional understanding of Tathagata nature. I know that when I say bloom like a flower, you will inevitably exhibit heavenly nature. No matter how hard you try, you cannot exhibit Tathagata nature. Therefore, saying this is not a big deal. A cup of tea, when asked to exhibit Tathagata nature, can only show the characteristics of tea, not water. In fact, the above analysis and explanation are not very beneficial and may make the issue more complex, trapping people in conceptual constraints. The simplest method is for a person to free themselves from distress, worry, and fear to the greatest extent possible, to achieve a state of no attachment and no dwelling, to strive for no self and no form. By doing so, one becomes a Buddha or celestial and enters the Elysium world. Therefore, my suggestion is not to worry about self-nature, Buddha nature, Tathagata nature, and heavenly nature, but to strive to free oneself from distress, worry, and fear, to enter a state of no attachment, no dwelling, no self, and no form. By achieving this, the most beautiful wishes can be fulfilled, the most beautiful ideals realized, and one can enter the higher realms of life and enjoy the infinite joys of life. 生活在第二家园里，为什么不会生病? Why do we not get sick living in the second home? Xiefeng, July 8, 2012. Translation edited by Qin Yu. The most skillful doctor does not treat illnesses but prevents them, ensuring that people never get sick. In this sense, I, Xiefeng, consider myself one of the most skillful doctors among humanity. Physiological diseases stem from deficiencies in the spirit and soul. When a person's spirit and soul gradually improve and reach perfection, not only do they stop getting sick, but any existing conditions also gradually heal, leading to a state of health. I address the root causes of illness, focusing particularly on the cultivation of the soul garden. As a person's soul garden gradually perfects, they naturally do not fall ill. Brothers and sisters living in the second home who strictly follow the roadmap can testify. Has your health been improving, and have you been falling sick less often? If some still experience illness, I urge you to carefully examine whether you harbor doubts about my guidance in certain aspects, or if you have not fully implemented it in some areas. If you have genuinely followed the guidance, you should not experience illness after living in the home for a year. In addition to the perfection of the spirit and soul, I have also provided many effective prescriptions. I have alleviated your worries, anxieties, pains, and fears. You no longer face much pressure related to food, clothing, housing, transportation, aging, illness, and death. With reduced stress, your physiological functions begin to operate normally, and the flow of qi and blood remains smooth, preventing blockages. I bring you joy and happiness through engaging in romance and affection, flirting, and lighthearted interactions. You no longer have time to worry or be troubled. You don't even think about illness. If your mind is free from illness, how can it manifest in the body? I have placed you in a paradise-like living environment, surrounded by green mountains, clear waters, bird songs, and fragrant flowers. The environment is clean and spotless. The water in the three branches comes from mountain springs, free from chemical additives or pollution. The vegetables we grow ourselves with minimal use of fertilizers and pesticides are almost entirely natural. There is less meat consumption, and smoking and drinking are almost non-existent. Additionally, I ensure everyone gets ample sleep and avoids excessive labor, eliminating external factors that cause illness. Life depends on movement. I ensure everyone participates in physical labor, keeping muscles, joints, tendons, and bones constantly active. Flowing water does not stagnate. A well-oiled door hinge does not rust, so illness cannot arise. Dancing, singing, and playing games keep everyone in a positive and optimistic state, full of vitality and youthful energy, reducing the likelihood of illness. By implementing holographic management, I have reduced the stress and burden of commands, supervision, urging, and inspection. This allows you to maintain a joyful mood in whatever you do. Each person has a sacred, undisturbed bedroom where they can relax, calm their mind, and be free to do as they wish, so illness will not come near you. I guide everyone toward higher spaces like the thousand-year world of heaven, etc., filling you with hope and aspiration for the future. Thus, you do not focus on present difficulties and worries, but treat everything as a game. This is also a major factor in not getting sick. With freedom in romantic love and sexual expression, there are no longer frustrations, suppressions, or worries about emotions and sex. Instead, you gain endless joy and vitality. Where could illness possibly come from? Of course, we are still some distance away from complete immunity to illness. The Chanyuan exercises have not been fully embraced, but I firmly believe that as the home continues to improve and perfect, it will become impossible for anyone to get sick, and illness will become a luxury. Everything is a result of cause and effect. Without the causes of illness, wishing for the effects of illness is mere fantasy, unless one pretends to be sick. From the fact that brothers and sisters in the home are gradually not falling ill, it should be clear that there are no diseases in the heavenly kingdom. As we become healthier and less sick, we are gradually approaching and entering the heavenly kingdom. Facts speak louder than words. Is there anyone who still doubts my guidance? Should you not strengthen your faith and strictly follow the guide's roadmap? Xinling Senjiao, Spiritual Communion. Xiefeng, September 23, 2012. Translation edited by Qin Yu. When hearts are in tune, a single glance, a gesture, an expression, a movement, or a word can open a door as beautiful and infinite as poetry and painting. From then on, in flower gardens under the moonlight, by the streams, on the hills, in the valleys, inside the caves, the heart blooms with wonder everywhere. Everything becomes serene and pleasant, with an endless sense of ease and contentment, pure and untainted, peaceful and warm. There are no obstacles, no barriers, no worries, no restraints. One can follow their hearts and freely display their grace and charm. From now on, whether at the ends of the earth or across mountains and rivers, no matter how high the mountains or how vast the waters, even amidst dense fog and mist, the bond is as close as glue. Hearts and souls are intertwined, with no grievances, no sadness, no troubles, no hesitation. One can quietly observe the rising and falling tides, the swirling clouds, and the magical combinations and performances of countless things and phenomena. They can instantly merge into a roaring fire and stir up tumultuous waves, savoring the dynamic and wonderful realms where yin and yang meet, where heaven and earth connect, experiencing the swirling clouds and shifting rains, engaging in passionate embraces and intimate union, following the flow of life, carefree and at ease, where space disappears, time ceases to exist, and only the spirit shines, the soul drifts. It is endless bliss, boundless and infinite, free from thirst and hunger, without weariness or fatigue. The heart is unattached and unobstructed, beyond words and indescribable joy. This is spiritual communion. 看偶然现象的必然性所阐发的启示. Revelations from the inevitability within apparent coincidences. Xiefeng. September 24, 2012. Translation edited by Qin Yu. 3 years ago, Lucian North, a 77-year-old Canadian man, won a lottery jackpot equivalent to 100 million renminbi. The unexpected windfall led to the following consequences. Lucian gave most of the winnings to his son, neighbors, and relatives, which greatly displeased his wife. The couple frequently quarreled, and their relationship gradually deteriorated. Ultimately, Lucian's wife divorced him and left. Lucian's son, Daniel, was furious when he learned that his father had been cheated out of 5 million Canadian dollars by neighbors. Earlier this spring, Daniel filed a lawsuit against 4 of his father's neighbors and a relative of his ex-wife, accusing them of exploiting Lucian and illegally taking a portion of his jackpot. The lawsuit left the elderly and frail Lucian overwhelmed and estranged him from all his neighbors and relatives. On September 1st, Daniel and his wife, Teresa, held a large party to celebrate the completion of their luxurious pool. However, Teresa unexpectedly fell into the pool and drowned. Her body was discovered at the bottom of the pool the next morning. On the evening of September 18th, Daniel was resting at his home in the Montreal suburbs when his pet dog suddenly ran out of the yard. Daniel rushed out to chase the dog and was hit by a speeding Jeep, dying on the spot. 3 incidents among these events seem purely coincidental. First, Teresa unexpectedly fell into the pool and drowned. Second, the pet dog suddenly ran out of the yard. Third, he was hit by a speeding Jeep and died on the spot. Each of these events appears accidental and fortuitous when considered individually. However, when we look at the overall trend, we realize that everything was inevitable. The pet dog happened to run out of the yard while Daniel was resting, and a speeding car happened to be passing by just as he ran outside. Who made the pet dog run out of the yard at the precise moment when the speeding Jeep was coming? Did the dog decide to run out on its own? The insights are: there are no accidental phenomena or events. Everything is inevitable. Human and animal behavior is not entirely controlled by their own consciousness. The Tao's program is constantly at work. Everything operates within the Tao. What can we learn from this? Misfortune, that is where happiness depends. Happiness, that is where misfortune underlies. When we are fortunate, we should cherish it and avoid squandering it. Maintain simplicity. Do not expect to gain unexpected wealth. Rely on your own labor and creation. We do not gamble, buy lottery tickets, engage in profiteering activities, invest in stock trading, pick up lost items, or ever expect to get rich overnight. The sum of positive and negative energy is 0. The more we gain, the more we lose. Therefore, contribute more and seek less. The 5 elements, metal, wood, water, fire, earth, generate and overcome each other. Always maintain balance, avoid extremes, and develop steadily. Otherwise, calamities may arise at any time. The Tao is in operation, and its program is at work. Good deeds are rewarded with good, and evil deeds are rewarded with evil. Focus on perfecting your non-material structure and cultivating good qualities, rather than spending time and energy on material wealth and fame. Whatever happens to you is the result of cause and effect. Therefore, do not harbor resentment towards others. Instead, look for reasons within yourself rather than blaming the pet dog or the speeding Jeep. Everyone may face potential calamities like injury, terminal illness, disaster, loss, or imprisonment. The best way to prevent misfortune is to adhere to the path of the greatest creator. Align your words, actions, thoughts, and behavior with truth, goodness, beauty, love, faith, and sincerity. Contribute more, enjoy less, and thus avoid misfortune and escape disasters. The pet dog suddenly running out of the yard is driven by a process or some invisible consciousness. This suggests that, as your life and life guide, my words and actions, and the guidance I provide, are not entirely under my own consciousness control but are operated by the Tao. Because I no longer exist. I died in a car accident, and the current I is merely a mediator between the greatest creator and you. Absorption of non-material energy. Xiefeng. October 13th, 2012. Translation edited by Qin Yu. All life relies on energy to exist. Without energy, life cannot survive. The growth of a plant is determined by the energy it absorbs. A plant that absorbs ample energy grows well, while one that does not receive enough energy will have limited growth, will not bloom, and will not produce full fruit. The same applies to animals. For a person to be healthy, clear-minded, mentally sharp, and to do good deeds, they must absorb sufficient energy. Otherwise, they may become ill, feel depressed, lack vitality, and be listless. Energy is divided into material energy and non-material energy. Non-material energy is further divided into positive and negative energy. Positive energy can make life vibrant and full of confidence, while negative energy can cause a person to become dispirited and lose confidence. The material body needs material energy, while the spiritual and mental body need non-material energy. What people need most is the positive non-material energy for their spirit and mind, and what needs the most attention is preventing and avoiding negative non-material energy. What is positive non-material energy? Answer: faith, ideals, beliefs, love, wealth, happiness, freedom, joy, pleasure, encouragement, praise, smoothness, satisfaction, appreciation and being appreciated, care, affection, harmonious and pleasant interpersonal relationships, health, beauty, goodness, brightness, purity, cleanliness and tidiness, good order, and beautiful environments, etc. In other words, if a person lives in a well-ordered, beautiful environment with bright springtime, harmonious interpersonal relationships, frequently receives praise, encouragement, care, and appreciation from others, experiences smooth endeavors, a satisfying life, encounters agreeable people and things, feels happy and joyful, enjoys freedom and happiness, and is filled with love for life, confidence in the future, and longing for a better life due to strong faith and belief, then this person has absorbed sufficient positive non-material energy. What is negative non-material energy? Answer: poor interpersonal relationships, conflicts, contradictions, struggles, arguments, quarrels, and resentments with others, being bullied, oppressed, exploited, insulted, attacked, ridiculed, and belittled, dirty, chaotic, and poor environments, disorderly conditions, anger, rage, complaints, grievances, and lamentations, the illnesses, negative, pessimistic emotions, information, and rhetoric of those around you, especially those closest to you, stress, and unsatisfactory people, situations, and life, etc. In other words, when a person is in a dirty and chaotic environment, where everything is disorderly and their peace and life are frequently disturbed, surrounded by people who are depressed and dispirited, with tense interpersonal relationships and frequent unjust treatment, experiencing high levels of stress, hearing many complaints and negative messages, and encountering many unsatisfactory and unfavorable people and situations, then that person will lose energy and become disillusioned with life. How to prevent and avoid absorbing negative energy? Escape. If possible, distance yourself as much as possible from people, things, and environments that make you unhappy, uncomfortable, unfree, or unblessed. Stay away from those who are dispirited, lethargic, bothersome, troubling, frequently angry, resentful, complaining, or constantly airing grievances. How to absorb positive energy? Get closer to the greatest creator, gods, Buddhas, celestial beings, and those who consistently bring joy and confidence. Get closer to beautiful, civilized environments and closer to paradise. 成仙奥秘，不再拥有自己. The mystery of becoming a celestial being, no longer possessing yourself. Xiefeng, November 16th, 2012. Translation edited by Qin Yu. A sage has no personal heart. They align their heart with the hearts of the people, so a sage does not possess themselves. A celestial being or Buddha has no self. Their heart aligns with the heart of the greatest creator. Therefore, to become a celestial being or Buddha, one must achieve a state of having no self. A celestial being or Buddha is nature itself. Nature is the attribute bestowed by the greatest creator. Living according to one's nature means living within the greatest creator's consciousness, living within the Tao. To possess oneself means to act not according to nature, but according to one's own desires and inclinations. When a being is arrogant, selfish, greedy, ambitious, and acts for their own enjoyment, desires, or possessions, seeking money, power, fame, or pleasure, they possess themselves. Demons are beings who possess themselves. To maintain their own self, they rebel against the greatest creator, defy heaven, and recruit forces to expand their power, aiming to stand on equal footing with the greatest creator. Therefore, when a person desires to possess themselves, they resonate with demons, becoming demonic progeny. This is why Christ Jesus warned that to follow him into the kingdom of the greatest creator, one must renounce the self. Is it good to possess oneself? No. Reflect deeply and carefully. Where do your troubles, pain, sorrow, anxiety, fear, negativity, pessimism, misfortune, and disasters come from? These all arise from possessing oneself. When you no longer possess yourself, these negative things will dissipate. Hence, the sage Laozi advises that the great sufferings of humanity stem from the self. Once the self is gone, there will be no suffering. Why do you debate, argue, quarrel, and conflict with others? It is because you possess yourself. When you no longer possess yourself, what is there to debate, argue, or fight over? Conflicts arise from wanting to protect oneself, one's possessions, and one's vested interests, or from scheming to gain or hold onto something. Why are you irritated or troubled? Is it not because your vanity, self-esteem, or interest have been harmed, leading to frustration and resistance? All those who commit crimes and end up imprisoned, are they not driven by the desire to avenge or possess due to possessing themselves? All those who descend to hell, are they not opposing the way of the greatest creator due to their self-possession? Therefore, the sage embraces unity and is a model for all under the heavens, which means embracing unity cannot involve possessing oneself. Once one possesses oneself, it becomes not unity but a multiplicity, embracing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What is unity? The supreme leader is unity. In the universe, the greatest creator is the supreme leader. Thus, the entire universe aligns with the greatest creator. In worldly society, the president or chairman is the supreme leader. Thus, people must align with the president or chairman. Specifically, in production, the CEO or head of an organization is the supreme leader. Everything must align with the leader. Is it good to no longer possess oneself? Certainly. Without possessing oneself, one can maintain harmony with others, society, and nature. Everything will proceed in an orderly and well-regulated manner. Although it may seem like losing oneself on the surface, in essence, one ends up gaining more and enjoying more through harmony with others, society, and nature. By giving up oneself, one actually finds oneself. By striving to possess oneself, one ultimately loses oneself. Take the example of the Life of Chanyuan's second home. All those Chanyuan celestials who sought to preserve their own selves in the Chanyuan ultimately disappeared into the sea of ordinary beings, losing themselves. Meanwhile, those who gave up themselves and ceased to possess themselves entered the home one by one, living in a beautiful, carefree paradise, enjoying a happy, free, and blissful life, and ultimately found themselves and gained themselves. When the self is completely lost, the heart becomes relaxed and happy. Only when a person fully abandons the self and ceases to possess themselves can they appreciate and experience the magnificence and wonder of the vast world. Enter a realm of ultimate freedom, understand the workings of the Tao and the will of the greatest creator, and live out their true self. Do you wish to become a celestial being or Buddha? Do you want to achieve supreme, authentic wisdom and escape the confines of heaven and earth to enjoy eternal bliss in the boundless realm of ultimate happiness? Yes, the way is to abandon oneself, to no longer possess oneself. Remember, the core of Buddha's teaching is no self, no form, a mind free of attachment, and no hindrances. 理性思维和灵性思维的分野. The distinction between rational thinking and spiritual thinking. Xiefeng. February 22nd, 2013. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Ignorant people rely on instinct, worldly people rely on personal gain, mortals rely on emotions, wise people rely on rationality, and celestial beings rely on spirituality. A rational thinker thoroughly deliberates on everything, using all the rules and regulations of the real world, along with their knowledge and analysis of personal gains and losses, to decide whether to take action. They summarize experiences, learn lessons, think rationally, deliberate carefully, weigh pros and cons, seek good fortune while avoiding disaster, and take preventive measures. A spiritual thinker acts according to their nature, responding to circumstances and destiny spontaneously. They pay attention to their initial feelings and sensory stimuli, making prompt decisions without considering the consequences, success, or personal gain or loss. They do not worry about future necessities like food or clothing. They speak and act as they feel, laying eggs when it's time to lay eggs, crowing when it's time to crow, living when it's time to live, and dying when it's time to die. As for everything else, they follow the guidance of their spirit and the operation of the Tao, without hiding or pretending, being open and upright, without using cunning or deceit, just like a baby. Belief in the greatest creator, trust in cause and effect, and giving one's best effort each day are characteristics of a spiritual thinker. Beware of others, ask a few more questions, be cautious of being deceived, and think thrice before acting are characteristics of a rational thinker. A true gentleman does not seek blessings, yet heaven guides him to fulfill his true intentions. A cunning person tries to avoid misfortune, yet heaven seizes his soul at the very moment he schemes. Cleverness may overreach itself. The fox knew too much, that's how he lost his tail. When humans make plans, God laughs. No matter how clever or resourceful a person is, they cannot escape the net of heaven and earth. No matter how ingenious or wise, one cannot escape the retribution of cause and effect. Human schemes and calculations cannot alter the workings of the Tao. Everything operates within the Tao. How many of the astronomical combinations of the 64 factors can one truly understand? The way of the sage is to abandon wisdom and cunning. Without abandoning wisdom and cunning, it is difficult to maintain constancy. The ordinary person is clear and bright, while I alone am dull. The ordinary person is perceptive, while I alone am muddled. Misfortune, that is where happiness depends. Happiness, that is where misfortune underlies. When you think you are right, you may be wrong. When you think you're wrong, you may be right. Who can know the mysteries within? Being adaptable and carefree, allowing oneself to flow with the Tao, characterizes a spiritual thinker. Thinking things through, being cautious and meticulous, characterizes a rational thinker. 与人争辩者没有善良之辈. Those who argue with others are unkind. Xiefeng. April 16th, 2013. Translation edited by Qin Yu. As long as one contends with others, whether it's quarreling, competing, snatching, arguing, disputing, or debating, it is still contention. The purpose is either to claim what belongs to others as their own or to impose one's will on others, with the core aim being the struggle for energy. Therefore, anyone who contends with others is unkind. Spouses are most prone to quarreling and debating, so neither spouse is kind. Once someone becomes a husband or wife, kindness disappears from their world. Different beliefs and sects easily fall into disputes and debates. As soon as contention arises, that belief or sect ceases to be kind. Religions and political parties often engage in arguments and debates, which shows that neither religions nor political parties are kind. Contention is easily sparked between nations and ethnic groups, proving that neither nations nor ethnic groups are kind. Harmony requires the elimination of quarreling, competing, snatching, warring, arguing, disputing, and debating. Without removing contention, there will never be harmony, and the world will never have peace. No matter who participates in contention, whether using any justification, excuse, or method, or even under the banner of the greatest creator, God's, Buddha's, truth, or the salvation of all beings, they have strayed from kindness and are evil. Chanyuan celestials should stay away from contention. Truth never contends. The greatest creator never contends with gods, Buddhas, celestial beings, saints, humans, ghosts, or demons. There is no contention in heaven. The beings in heaven never quarrel, compete, snatch, argue, dispute, debate, or war with others. A harmonious home should not have contention. A peaceful world should not have contention. The Tao operates according to its program, and cause and effect are in action. What is there to contend about? Cars travel on roads. Horses follow their paths. What is there to contend about? Cows go to the cow shed. Pigs go to the pig pen. Celestial beings follow the celestial way, and Buddhas enter the Buddha's land. What is there to contend about? Thus, Chanyuan celestials never contend with others, especially not argue or debate with others. Can a cow and a pig argue out any truth? Therefore, I won't argue with you. If you think you're right, live your way. Don't argue with me. You don't need to win me to be right. Can bees and flies argue out any truth? Therefore, I won't argue with you. If you think dog excrement smells good, you are right. Go ahead and eat it. My food is flower nectar. Chanyuan celestials do not contend with anyone. Whether parents, spouses, siblings, friends, other religions, sects, or even with rivers, lands, grasses, trees, flowers, insects, birds, or animals. Do not argue with me. You are right. Just do as you believe is right. 修行修炼者不能聚集物质能量. Practitioners should not accumulate material energy. Xiefeng, May 8, 2013. Translation edited by Qin Yu. The vast majority of self-cultivation theories and practices instruct practitioners to accumulate energy, particularly emphasizing the avoidance of sexual activity to prevent energy loss. They also advise against excessive joy or sorrow to conserve energy. Indeed, from the perspective of energy accumulation, the teachings of great masters throughout history are correct. However, I must ask, what is the purpose of accumulating energy? Will amassing sufficient energy enable one to become a celestial being or a Buddha and reach higher life spaces? Let's analyze this step by step. Firstly, money, treasures, and material possessions are forms of energy, as are vitality and semen. All material things are energy, and so are spiritual and soul aspects. Undoubtedly, for ordinary people, it is essential to accumulate energy, particularly material energy, to properly address life's needs such as food, clothing, shelter, and health. But for those cultivating to become celestial beings or Buddhas, what kind of energy should they be accumulating? Under what circumstances does enlightenment occur? There are many circumstances, but one critical condition is when energy is at its lowest. When a highly ambitious person falls ill, their ambition generally diminishes. It is at this point that they begin to explore and yearn for a world beyond the material and physical. As the saying goes, as a person nears death, their words become kind. Why do people become kind when they are about to die? Because when death is imminent, they have almost no energy left, leading to a degree of enlightenment. This means that when energy is at its lowest, people come to understand the essence of life. After going through a near-death experience, they see through the illusions of the world and find the right path. Christ Jesus said, "It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven." What does this mean? It means that the more material energy a person has, the harder it is to enter heaven. How many wealthy people are willing to give away all their possessions to attain a beautiful future life? Very few. Indeed. Experience shows that the more material energy one accumulates, the harder it becomes to elevate the quality of one's life. Only by closing one door can another open. When a person focuses their mind, time, and energy on accumulating material energy, the door to heaven closes. Is having more energy always good? I once said that giving a dog a mountain of bones and meat would provide it with ample energy. But can this dog become a dragon? The answer is no. Not only will it not become a dragon, but its canine nature will be strengthened, making it believe that being a dog is just fine. Similarly, when a person has abundant material resources, they may feel content with their human existence and be less inclined to engage in rigorous self-cultivation, thus missing the opportunity for self-elevation. After sexual activity, both men and women feel fatigued, which indicates that energy has indeed been consumed. But is this energy consumption beneficial, or is it better to accumulate energy without consuming it? What are the results of non-consumption? One's temper may become irritable, the mind unbalanced, and one may easily become lost in thoughts when alone, find it difficult to focus, suppress oneself, miss out on life's wonders, and feel less joy, rejecting beautiful things and lacking a longing for a good life and future. And what about the results of consumption? One's temper becomes calm, the mind balanced, one can focus better, find everything in the world beautiful, desires diminish, confidence increases, and the longing for a good life and future intensifies. There is no scientific evidence to prove that refraining from energy consumption leads to becoming a celestial being or a Buddha. Sexual essence is material energy and should not be accumulated. The conclusion is, practitioners should not accumulate material energy but should focus on accumulating spiritual and soul energy. So, what is spiritual and soul energy? Friendship, harmonious relationships with those around you, a beautiful environment, and a peaceful life are examples of spiritual energy. Selfless contribution, labor creation, joy, delightful experiences, longing for a good life, romantic and affectionate interactions, flirting, etc., are examples of soul energy. Am I right? The spring river warms, and the ducks know it first. You know best whether the shoes fit. 我们需要的成熟和不需要的成熟. The maturity we need and the maturity we don't need. Xiefeng. June 23, 2013. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Only mature fruits have delicate, sweet flesh that is suitable for eating and rich in nutrients. Immature fruits are astringent, sour, lack moisture, and have coarse flesh. Therefore, one should eat only mature fruits. Only mature seeds have full grains. Their life's non-material structure is perfect, and their vitality is abundant. This allows them to sprout, grow, flower, and bear fruit in the future. Therefore, the seeds stored in the granary must be mature. Only mature individuals are flexible, smooth, and boundless, like flowing water that adapts to any shape and continues indefinitely. They can unite seamlessly with heaven, earth, and humanity without obstacles or hindrances. They can maintain harmony with all things in the universe without self-interest. They can merge with the Tao without individual desires, pursuits, attachments, or possessions. Therefore, only mature individuals can become celestial beings or Buddhas and live in the heavenly realms. However, this kind of maturity is not what is needed. Fruit that is picked before it is ripe and left to mature over a few days or a period of time is not desirable. Maturity that comes before childhood is complete, where someone becomes prematurely adult-like, is not needed. Maturity that appears before the end of adolescence, where someone is too mature for their age, is not needed. Maturity that appears before experiencing the vibrancy of youth, where someone is already too serious, is not needed. Maturity that appears before experiencing life's joys, happiness, freedom, and blessedness, where someone is already spiritually transformed, is not needed. Each stage of life should display its unique characteristics. Premature maturity goes against the Tao of the greatest creator and the natural laws. It is inhumane to prevent children from playing and instead demand that they be obedient and focus solely on academic knowledge. It is inhumane to prevent teenagers from being high-spirited and full of ambition, only to require them to study, think, and bear heavy burdens. It is inhumane to prevent young people from having dreams, fantasies, lofty ambitions, and indulging in the joys of youth, and instead require them to be practical, focus on making money, and struggle for survival. It is inhumane to deny people a life of joy, happiness, freedom, and blessedness, while insisting they endure hardship and suffering to achieve spiritual transformation. Buddha and celestial beings embody their nature. To fully live in one's nature is the will of the greatest creator in creating life. Therefore, any maturity that suppresses or destroys one's nature to force maturity is unnecessary. In reality, whether a being is a celestial being or Buddha is not determined by age, knowledge, experience, or understanding of spiritual practices, or if they have learned any profound theory or practicing method. If one lives in their true nature, they are already a celestial being or Buddha, a beautiful life united with the greatest creator. Thus, a 3 to 5-year-old child, if their spirit is untainted, is in a state of a celestial being. There is no need for someone to deliberately guide and educate them on becoming a celestial being or Buddha. If a prodigy is carefully guided and educated by experts, their talent might be obscured. Imagine telling a peach tree, "You should grow well, absorb plenty of water and nutrients, maintain your peach tree nature, do not be lured by pear trees, and you should flower in spring, and the peaches you produce must taste like peaches." Is this necessary? The peach tree knows best how to grow, flower, and bear fruit. It understands natural laws better than humans and knows how to harmonize with nature. Humans should not guide or educate, but should provide water and fertilizer. Premature maturity can be counterproductive. If a person does not live in their true nature but spends every day thinking about how to gain praise and eulogy by showing maturity, this kind of maturity is undesirable. Men should be men, and women should be women. A woman who is externally graceful but internally capable is considered a mature woman. A man who is externally strong but internally gentle and refined is considered a mature man. This kind of maturity is not the same as mature crops, but rather a distorted form of maturity. We would never consider a hen that lays eggs and crows to be mature, nor would we consider a rooster that crows and lays eggs to be mature. A rooster that crows in time and a hen that lays eggs in time is considered mature. If a hen stops laying eggs or a rooster stops crowing, it is time for them to be slaughtered. 度化乾坤经文, the scriptures of transforming Qiankuan, Chanyuan Celestial. Xiefeng. October 21st, 2013. Translation edited by Qinyu. All things appear through transformation. All phenomena enter the heart. In tranquility and oneness, all phenomena merge into holograph. Holograph is indescribable, infinitely wondrous, and boundless. Using logic is like fishing in the forest. Wisdom obstructs one's perception of the Tao. The view of self harms the heart. The more profound one's knowledge, the more impoverished one's spirituality. Once there is self-attachment, evil thoughts arise. Writing or speaking about it harms both oneself and others. Joy is the fairy world. Freedom is the Buddha's land. Arguing with others is the act of a foolish and stubborn person. Becoming a Buddha requires great faith, not an understanding of doctrines. Attainment requires accumulation, not clever shortcuts. Good thoughts protect a kind heart. Kind hearts treat all beings well. Attacking others is the mark of an evil person. The desire for fame, wealth, and status must be completely discarded. Losing humility leads to becoming an arrogant, devilish person. Respect the messenger before you, not for the messenger but for the one who sent them. Harming others ultimately harms oneself. Praising others ultimately praises oneself. Selflessness fulfills the self. Unselfishness leads to personal gain. Karma is tightly interwoven. Every detail requires caution. A single careless word can open the gates of hell. Those who belittle the greatest creator are among the devils. Those who desecrate the greatest creator face endless suffering. Do not dwell on the scriptures of truth. Focus on the innocence of a child. Open the windows to let sunlight and moonlight enter, and do not harbor shadows in your heart. Follow the guide's path, and with each day, approach the fairy world. A heart full of devotion helps you ascend to the heavens. Empty talk leads to a wasted life. Planting vegetables helps you enter the pure and empty. Sweeping the floor cleanses the heart's dust, and even transporting manure can lead to purity. Do not worry about worldly affairs. All things move within the Tao. Rewards and punishments come in time, relying solely on self-cultivation. The worldly scenes are like fleeting flowers and bubbles, like dew and lightning. Do not let them distract you from your Tao. Space is infinitely vast, yet clearly layered. If you are lost in the world, it is like sowing seeds in the desert. The home, the second home, is like an egg or pearl with a vast cosmos inside. There are paths to heaven, and one can take root in the earth by living there. The gate of nature is the gate of the Tao. The Tao's mystery is entirely in nature. Buddha and celestial beings are nature itself. Pure nature leads to the celestial realm. What is beyond words is the Dharma of Buddha. Do not speak of Dharma in terms of forms. Becoming a Buddha is through awakening, not through verbal practice. Everything is a game. Only life is real. Devout reverence to the greatest creator ensures the perpetuity of life. The home is full of games. Return to the nature of a child. If one cannot play, their cultivation will be in vain. Flirtation and jesting are not lewd. In laughter and joy, there is neither self nor form. Shakyamuni Buddha was the first to attain the Tao. Following his teachings leads to perfect enlightenment. Jesus is Christ, the greatest God in the world. Believing in Jesus' words brings the kingdom of heaven before you. Laozi enlightened the Tao and virtue, teaching through maxims. Practice diligently every day to revive and attain the great Tao. The image of Guanyin Bodhisattva is a model for practitioners, rescuing the suffering in oneself, achieving great compassion and great vows. The guide's roadmap must be followed precisely. A small deviation can lead to great errors. If you fail to achieve the right result, do not blame me. Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha. Go, go, go. Go to the other shore with transcendent wisdom. 生命禅院第二段历程禅院草起成词 Chanyuan Celestial's departure speech for the second stage of Life at Chanyuan. Xiefeng. March 3, 2014. Translation edited by Chinyu. My heart is pure and serene, without resentment or hatred. For what I have done in the past, I have repaid all beings, without regret toward heaven or my conscience. The difficulties I have encountered are due to karmic retribution, the arrangement of the Tao. I accept them gladly, with no grudges, and my spirit is clear and bright. Today, I set out with renewed vigor, starting from scratch, without any regrets. My heart is pure, and my future is bright. My debts are paid, and the merits are recorded. The fairy world and the Buddhist Pure Land are my home. I proceed with ease, finding joy in new beginnings. Saying farewell to the past and welcoming the future, creating something from nothing. Every place is an oasis. My heart is joyful, and the path is clear. Parting from my hometown and loved ones, I am originally a celestial being and Buddha, untainted by worldly emotions. My ties to the secular world are severed, and my heart is at peace. I am originally selfless, descending into the mortal world not of my own will, but by the decree of the heavenly Tao. May my loved ones not be troubled by me. As for the future, it is up to fate. No matter where I am, I will naturally follow the Tao, and my words and actions will align with nature. Planting grass and trees is my nature. Living among flowers, the spiritual essence endures. Under the moon and among flowers, the sound of flutes and pipes is heard. Life's journey is a fleeting illusion, passing quickly. It is but a glimpse, and I move forward gracefully towards eternity. In the garden of my soul, the mountain flowers bloom brilliantly. The weeds have been removed, and it is beautifully adorned. What the world desires, I have already experienced. I do not linger in the hustle and bustle. Fame and fortune are like dust, and worldly love is foul and stinking. With the guide ahead, there are new realms to discover. Spreading a palmful of sand, green trees emerge. Holograph gives birth to the heart, and mysteries abound. Consciousness precedes, structures emerge, and energy follows. Marvels appear. Reaching the heavens and the earth, the games are endless. I am a rare flower of the heavenly kingdom, untouched by the worldly hustle and bustle. Amidst 1,000 miles of frozen land, I bloom gracefully with celestial beauty. The clouds on the horizon connect with the sacred mountain, offering infinite scenery and boundless skies. The fourth level of meditation links to the celestial abode, and the celestial islands are not far from sight. 我看到的一切井然有序. Everything I see is in perfect order. Xiefeng, May 12, 2014. Translation edited by Qin Yu. The phenomena are myriad. The world is chaotic. Disasters are frequent, and changes are constant. Friends turn against each other. Kin harm one another. Affections shift, and grudges transform. People rush and struggle. Change happens hastily. There are conflicts and competition, hidden traps, separation, and disintegration. Old things disappear, new things emerge. Everything appears dazzling and disordered, but to me, everything is in perfect order. Unable to decide, hard to judge, what should be done, torn between choices. When facing a situation, one's body is not under their control, hastily adapting, acting against one's will, reading others' expressions, weighing pros and cons. Human calculations are not as good as the heavens' calculations. A person of integrity, though not actively seeking fortune, the heavens guide them unexpectedly to achieve their heartfelt aspirations. A devious individual, despite craftily avoiding misfortune, the heavens intervene at their cunning moments to seize their soul. If one does not recognize the perfect order in everything, they will spend their life struggling in a sea of worries and turmoil. Preaching. 爱是一种状态. Love is a state of being. Xiefeng. From ancient times, I love you has been a beautiful song which has been unchanged throughout the ages. People become fascinated, infatuated, and enjoyed crazy bliss when hearing, I love you. Today, I finally know that I love you is a hallucination, the unpredictable clouds, a colorful bubble, and an anesthetic. Love is a state, like the constantly shining sun, the blooming peony, the roaring river, and the bright stars twinkling in the night sky with all their luster. Love has no specific target, it is wordless, but if there are specific targets, it is not love. The sun shines down constantly on everything, but if there is a target, it is not the sun, but a searchlight, a torch, or a spotlight. Love is like the shining sun and the blooming flowers. It is a state. Neither the sun nor the flowers ever say, I love you. No matter whether anyone is watching and no matter whether the bees and butterflies come to gather nectar, the flowers always bloom on time. Love always brings warmth, auspiciousness, harmony, goodness, happiness, and positive energy, and is infinitely fascinating to all living beings. Love never shows coldness, madness, ugliness, worry, suffering, negative energy, or desperation. Love cannot hurt anyone. If love leads to pain, grief, suffering, hatred, disappointment, or desperation, it cannot be real love. Love can only be felt by love. It cannot be demanded or taken by force, nor by money, status, fame, or beauty. Love is totally free, it is priceless, needs nothing in return, and is unconditional, with neither responsibilities, obligations, nor other requirements. Love treats everyone the same, beggars and billionaires, commoners and royalty. Love has no morals. Love has no system of values. Love lives in truth, kindness, beauty, and right, as well as in falseness, evil, ugliness, and wrong. The differences in the levels of love between different living beings are in the contents of love's energy. The more love a living being has, the higher its level is. The less love it has, the lower its level is. This is the same as the differences of kerosene lamps, electric lamps, and the sun. They are shining different lights. The kerosene lamp can only illuminate one room in a house, and the electric lamp can illuminate a yard, but the sun can illuminate a much larger area. The light of the Buddha can spread everywhere, but the light of human beings can only spread in limited regions. This is the difference between Buddhas and people. So, we understand that those who love everything and live for the benefit of all living beings are Buddhas. Those who only love and think about themselves are devils. Those who love and live for only one person or several people are animals. And those who only love and live for a group of people are human beings. According to this, we know that those who selfishly love themselves are the offsprings of devils. Those who only love one person or thing, such as within monogamous marriage, are the lowest level of animals. Those who love their families are the lowest level of human beings. And those who love their own nations, religions, organizations, and political parties are human beings. But those who live for the benefit of all living beings regardless of their own interests are more than human beings. They are bodhisattvas, angels, and Buddhas. Human beings are not worthy of speaking the word love. Love is the patent of bodhisattvas, angels, and Buddhas. Love is profaned when one person says, "I love you," to another. Love is a non-material existence. Only those who have love for themselves can feel love. You will never feel love if you do not have love within yourself. Only if you have eyes can you see the eyes of other lives. Only if you are not colorblind can you see how colorful the world is. Those people with the greatest love will become super celestial beings. The greatest love is that you, yourself, completely become love. The greatest creator is love. Only by making ourselves become love can we enter the secret garden of the greatest creator, the celestial island continent of the Elysium world. 天堂在哪里? Where is heaven? 仙境. Translated by Treasure and edited by Care. Heaven, or the kingdom of heaven, is the general term for the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium celestial islands continent. Heaven is where those lives' non-material structures are more perfect than human ones. The greatest characteristic of heaven is the amount of freedom of life. Freedom from the issues of food, clothing, shelter, transportation, disease, war, and sudden disaster. The 1,000-year world is a celestial body 960 light years away from the Earth. 10 times the size of the Earth, it is currently inhabited by approximately 200 million people. As the basic lifespans of celestial beings on this planet are about 1,000 Earth years, it is called the 1,000-year world. More details are available in Chapter 14 of The 1,000-Year World, the Non-Material World. The 10,000-year world is a beautiful celestial body located 3,480 light years from the Earth. It is 16 times bigger than the Earth and is equidistant from 16 suns which surround it. About 100 million celestial beings live there with similar basic characteristics as the land's celestial beings described in Taoism. They enjoy lifespans of about 35,000 Earth years, and it is thusly called the 10,000-year world. More details are available in Chapter 14 of The 10,000-Year World, the Non-Material World. The Elysium world is the general term for the Paradise universe. We inhabit a small place that is called the Earth universe. The Paradise universe is called this in relation to other universes. The structure of the Paradise universe is a Taiji ellipsoid which is called a low-rotary galaxy. Low-rotary galaxies contain 3,000 rotary river galaxies which each contain 3,000 Milky Way-type galaxies, and each Milky Way-type system contains 3,000 solar systems. In other words, the Elysium world is composed of 3,000 macro worlds, 9 million medium worlds, and 27 billion small worlds like the Earth. The Elysium world is a non-material existence. If the world on which we live were the front side of a sheet of paper, then the Elysium world would be the reverse side and we would never have access to it unless we could pass through it and enter the back. The place where humans live is also where the Elysium world exists, for the Earth is within the realm of the Elysium world. The Elysium world has 10 continents: the Lotus continent, the Borneo continent, the Kasayapa continent, the Ingwu continent, the Amida Buddha continent, the Celestial Islands continent, the Three Worlds, the Two-Way continent, the Moon Temple continent, the Gods continent, the Supreme Authentic Wisdom continent. The Celestial Islands continent is one of the continents of the Elysium world. These 10 continents are also called the Pure Land or the Buddha Land. refer to the Elysium word within the non-material world. The place to which Life-Changyuan guides Chanyuan celestials toward is the Elysium Celestial Islands continent. It has 80 billion islands. Apart from the 30 billion islands that have been homesteaded by celestial beings, the remaining 50 billion islands are currently uninhabited. The celestial beings in the Elysium Celestial Islands continent are called super-celestial beings, or Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. When people are asked where heaven and hell are, many of them answer that heaven and hell are in people's hearts. This is only half true because the idea is that the whole of the universe depends on the mind and all rules depend on cognition. The environment is created and generated by the mind, and everyone's closest friends and dearest relatives are in their minds, are only half true. Heaven and hell would still exist if people did not think about them, just as people's relatives who live far away would not disappear if they did, and they would still exist even if they were not thought about or even forgotten. Absolute idealism can confuse people. Actually, it is easy to go to heaven, but it is extremely difficult to break our obsession. Many secrets seem very mysterious, but once they are pierced, they become clear and simple. 程序在运行. The program is running. 写法. There is a saying, fishes are in the water, and humans are in the Tao. All things in the universe are running in the Tao. If we have difficulty understanding the elusive Tao, let me make it simple. We can also call it program. So the above saying could be, fishes are in the water and humans are in the program. And all things in the universe are running in the program. What is program? In Chinese, program is 程序. 程 means the rule, law, pattern, and equation. 序 means sequence and order. Program, 程序, means the order of formation, development, change, and evolution of a thing according to established rules. The computer we use is the best example of program. We can somehow say that a computer is a program. To use a computer, we need to follow programs. Whoever is good at programming is a computer expert. Hackers are computer experts who can break, interrupt, and change computer programs. Computer programs are designed by human beings, while the program of the universe is designed by the greatest creator. The seasonal order of spring, summer, autumn, and winter in some areas of the earth is a program. The order of seasons is strictly changing according to the program. Spring comes after winter, and winter comes after autumn. They have been in that order for thousands of years. The process of a human body changes in the order of a fetus, baby, toddler, child, teenager, adult, and senior is also an established program. Human beings have to go through this process, which is out of their control. The germination, growth, flowering, fruiting, and withering of a plant is also a program. The law of causality, reap what you sow, is also an established program. You will not reap banana if you sow melon, and you will not reap cherry if you sow bean. What goes around comes around. The treacherous are cheated by the treacherous, and the honest are appreciated by the honest. If you pursue Buddhahood, you attain Buddhahood, and if you admire the beast, you acquire the nature of the beast. If you do not give freedom to others, you will not get freedom yourself. If you want to control others, you will be controlled. Furtiveness and deceit will make you a ghost and lead you to hell, while integrity and good merits will make you a celestial and lead you to heaven. This is also a program. When a man reaches a certain age, facial, armpit, and pubic hair start to grow. When a woman reaches a certain age, she starts to have menses. When a child is born, the mother begins to lactate. When a woman reaches menopause, she starts to have fewer and fewer menses until they stop. It is a biological program. The traditional family is also a program. When one gets married, he or she has to live according to the family program, which is beyond their control. Countries are programs. When one becomes a citizen of a country, he or she must involuntarily follow the country's program. If there is no external force, things will run around and around according to the rules of the program. Life will reincarnate according to the set program. To avoid constraints of the program, there must be an external force, without which the development of things will not change the track. It is just like a man is not able to make his feet leave the ground by dragging his hair. The external force is not necessarily a mechanical force. An accident, a phenomenon, a book, a story, and a sentence, even an insect, a hairstyle, a blade of grass, or an action could become the force. As long as it is able to change the existing program, no matter how small the changes are, it is an external force. The teachings of Jesus Christ, Buddha Sakyamuni, Prophet Muhammad, and Confucius are very strong external forces. How many programs are there in the universe? There are numerous. There is the program governing the movements of planets, the program of society's development, and the program of life changes. Each space has its own program. Each plant and animal has their own growing program. There are master programs and subprograms. There are long-term programs, short-term programs, etc. Programs are very rigorous. While they are also layered and closely related, they are causes and effects and are flexible to change. The master program is normally unchangeable, while subprograms are changeable. For example, it is difficult to change the master program of birth, growth, aging, and death of a human, while things like short-term depression can be changed by external forces such as inspiring words or actions. The change of the master program of how hair grows is very difficult, but the hairstyle can be changed easily. The master program of the nature of life is almost impossible to change, but the direction of life can be changed. You cannot touch a pitch and not be mucked. Without the external force, the track of life will not change. Life follows its trail. Once there is an external force, the track of life changes. A single conversation across the table with a wise man is worth 10 years of studying books. One takes the way of saints when influenced by a saint, and one takes the way of robbers when influenced by a robber. A butcher becomes a Buddha the moment he drops his cleaver. A thought and an idea can change one's destiny. Whichever direction you choose at an intersection without a sign, the corresponding program starts to work. For example, at the intersection of 4 roads, the first road leads to hell, the second to the human world, the third to the Buddha world, and the fourth to the celestial world. Where there is no road sign, our choice activates the corresponding program and it will lead us to a destination unless we change the route midway. All programs are predefined, but human beings can transfer from one program to another. When a man exits one program, he enters another. It is impossible to enter an area that is not within a program. Human beings can only enter 12 programs, and the best and most free life program is the program of the Elysium world. When one life possesses the consciousness of a human being, he lives in the program of the human world and will therefore be constrained by the limits of the program. Once a life possesses the consciousness of a celestial being, his living program starts to slowly transfer to the program of the Elysium world, which means he has changed his life track. All programs are already designed, and many of them are hidden programs. Once conditions are met, any incident will activate the program. It is just like a landmine. It explodes when you step on it, but as long as it is not touched, it will remain hidden underground. It is also like drinking potassium cyanide. You will immediately feel terrible in your organs, foam at the mouth, and quickly bleed to death. When conditions are not ripe, the program will not activate. When the temperature is not warm enough, mosquitoes and flies will not revive and fly. When yin and yang do not meet each other, lightning and thunder will not fill the sky. Without proper humidity and temperature, seeds will not germinate. Before one has reached a certain stage of self-cultivation, he or she will not transform into a celestial being. One cannot enter into an oasis if he or she has not walked out from a desert. One cannot enter a new program if he or she does not leave the traditional family. One cannot enter heaven if he or she does not walk out of the human world. In short, these are predefined programs. When a program is activated, do not worry, for it will run automatically. It is just as a female egg will grow automatically once it is fertilized. We feed a child every day, so he will grow as well. In spring, if we spread seeds in the land, they will automatically germinate, flower, and fruit. It is the result as well as the power of the program. As long as we plant seeds, there will be fruits. This is how the program works. However, we must wait for the fruit to become ripe. We can get some fruits very quickly, while we need to wait more time to get others. And for some seeds, we need to wait a very long time to get their fruits. Peach fruits in 3 years and apricot in 4 years, while we need to wait 18 years to be able to enjoy the fruit of walnuts. Anxiety does no good. As a man sows, so he shall reap. We do not see the fruit, not because it is barren, but we shall see it when the time is right. By observing the current situation of humans in the society, we can know their past. By observing their current behaviors, we can forecast their future. If we do not see anything happen in 5 years, wait for another 5 years, and if still nothing happens, wait for 100 years. In a word, what goes around comes around. This is because the program is running and is not fortune-telling. We must trust programs and trust that as long as we give, we gain. We need to give first in order to gain. If we give others love, we will gain a beautiful life, future, or something else. If we cheat others or take a bribe of $100,000, we get many temporary benefits, but in the future, we might need to pay the price of a limb, face a calamity, or reincarnate to an animal to pay our debts. Therefore, any behavior that tries to take advantage of others is foolish, cheating and lying is stupid, and being opportunistic is short-sighted. Throw a long line to catch a big fish. Being diligent on self-cultivation, it is possible to achieve the life level of a celestial being. Do not care that you get a return when you are committed to something. Just make your contribution wholeheartedly and ask not for gain. As long as you give, you will gain. This is because the program is running. 穷人进不了天堂. The poor cannot enter into heaven. Xiefeng. Translated by Treasure and edited by Care. This is a cruel reality because even Jesus Christ said, "It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God." We take it for granted that the kingdom of God belongs to the poor. However, after more than 10 years of harvesting the ripe crops, I have found that the poor cannot enter into heaven. The most distinctive feature of the poor is that they take, while that of the rich is that they give. A person who takes constantly is continuously sinning, accumulating debt, and digging deeper into debt. According to the law of the gravitation of life and the rules of the sum of positive and negative energies always equal zero, the poor will have to stay within the 6 great divisions in the wheel of karma without any hope of entering heaven. Heaven belongs to the rich and hell belongs to the poor. This fact sounds so miserable that I feel unkind saying it or even thinking it. It is the same as putting a knife into the hearts of the poor as their blood pours out. However, not telling the truth would mean that I, Xiefeng, am a big liar. And as those who conceal the truth would certainly go straight to hell, so who are the rich and who are the poor? Those who give wealth to others, to society, and to nature without incurring debts are rich, but those who constantly take from others, from society, and from nature while incurring debts are poor. What is wealth? What others, society, and nature need is wealth. Wealth is defined as soul wealth, spiritual wealth, and material wealth. All that can bring others' minds peace, serenity, and calmness are soul wealth. All that can encourage and cheer others on, or that can bring them passionate enthusiasm of life are spiritual wealth, and all that can offer the conveniences of food, clothing, shelter, transportation, birth, aging, illness, and death are material wealth. As long as you owe a debt and continue to take, you will be among the poor, but as long as you are not in debt and continue to give, you will be among the rich. Debt contains 3 aspects. Economic debt, to own others' money, including bank loans which have not been returned, to borrow others' things without returning them or to damage them without compensating their owners, to demolish others' houses without compensating their owners, to receive others' services or treats but not return or repay them, and so on are what we call economic debt. Emotional debt, care from grandparents, love and care received from childhood by our parents, concern and care from siblings, help from friends, relatives, and neighbors, guidance from superiors, and the cooperation of workmates, education and guidance from masters and teachers, care and consideration from lovers and spouses, special filial piety from children, and similar ties are all forms of emotional debt. Spiritual debt, the greatest Creator's grace, such as the enjoyment of the sun, the air, and the water, the pleasure to experience the splendid kaleidoscopic world, the spiritual teachings and the guidance of God, Buddha, celestial beings, and many saints and sages are all spiritual debts. Referring to the 3 types of debt above, you will easily know whether you are rich or poor, isa billionaire rich. This is hard to say. Is a farmer in a distant village poor? This is equally hard to say. A billionaire who is in debt and keeps taking is poor, but a farmer with no debts and who is able to give themselves to others, society, and nature is rich. There are many ways to devote oneself to others, society, and nature. Whether it is materialistically, intellectually, or ideologically, or spiritually, as long as they give to others, to society, and to nature, that is devotion and dedication. To give a sweet smile is devotion, as are making others happy and joyous. And bringing people hope and pleasure is devotion to society, and protecting nature from damage is devotion to nature. But the most valuable and significant of all types of giving is what Buddha Sakyamuni called formless almsgiving. In conclusion, those who have given more than they have taken will enter heaven. Those who have taken more than their share of blessings will go to hell. Those who have given equally to what they have taken will continue their reincarnations into the mortal world. Who can give and pay dedications and devotions effectively? Only the rich, so heaven is theirs. The poor have nothing to give or pay back for their poverty, so they cannot go to the heaven, but only fall toward reincarnating into the animal level. All the poor must awake and watch. 内在结构决定一切. Internal structure is what matters. 写法. The nature and function of things are determined by their internal structures. Sugar is sweet while tea is bitter, and this is decided by their structure, not by people. The price of a 1 carat, 0.2 g, diamond is 14,000 RMB yuan, but the price of an ounce of gold is only about 10,270 RMB yuan. That is to say that 1 carat of gold costs 70 renminbi yuan. The price difference between diamonds and gold is 200:1. The fundamental reason lies in the different internal structures of the two. The value of 1 carat of common stone is too small to measure. The greatest creator, gods and Buddha, angels, bodhisattvas, celestial beings, devils, demons, monsters, mortals, evil spirits, animals, and other life are quite different from one another, and the reason is also because of their different internal structures. Celestials, saints, sages, mortals, laities, laymen, and ignorant people are all humans, but they are unlike each other because each has a different internal structure. It is as with mushrooms that some are nutritious and will feed you, but some others are poisonous and will sicken or kill you. This too is because of their different internal structures. From this we can understand that the role a person plays, the responsibilities that they assume, and the accomplishments that they achieve are completely determined by their internal structure and not by others or by society. Gems are inlaid into crowns, while cobblestones are not. Thus we further understand that it is wrong to envy or admire others, or to blame social injustice. In any case, we should neither complain, resent, nor loathe having a low social status or position. This is called being content in poverty and devoted to spiritual matters. Since we understand that all things are determined by internal structures, we should then make efforts to change and perfect our own internal structures rather than flattering or currying favor with others, using connections for special treatment, envying and admiring others, complaining and resenting others or our society, seeking magic power or skills, seeking shortcuts or begging for mercy and help, blaming or accusing others for our bad luck, being opportunistic, or finding secrets to success. Peaches and plums do not talk, but people come to pick them. The fragrance of flowers attract butterflies. Peonies do not assume their beauty, but people naturally sing songs about them. No matter how flies and mosquitoes dress themselves, people will still detest them. Beggars cannot have refined tastes. Dog meat is not to be served at feasts. Those who lack elegance and good etiquette are not presentable. In short, the internal structure of each thing determines its social role and status. At this point, if someone still complains about heaven and earth or blames others or society for their ill treatment or bad luck in life, or finds excuses and reasons to blame others rather than themselves for their failures, then they would have to be either ignorant or just plain stupid. Are you not satisfied with your current situation? Do not find external excuses and reasons, but make sure to look for source causes from your own internal structure. The internal structures of things are determined by their quality. Taking people, for example, good intrinsic qualities are marked with diligence, kindness, purity, honesty, integrity, modesty, and open-mindedness, whereas bad qualities are shown as jealousy, blame, selfishness, greed, laziness, arrogance, dishonesty, and narrow-mindedness. A person who does not have good quality can never be smooth and refined no matter how they struggle be accomplished in their career, or sail easily through life. They may enjoy good fortune for brief times, but not for very long. People who are moving toward heaven through self-refinery and self-improvement should never waste valuable time and energy on changing the external world or on changing their external appearance. They should invest their time and energy into improving and perfecting the non-material structures of their lives and on developing good quality. If their quality is not excellent and their structure is not perfect, then they can never reach heaven. It is the same as with a hard rock. Try as it may, it will never be cherished and valued by others. It must alter its internal structure in order to be valued and loved as a treasure and be applied in the most eye-striking and noble places. 内在结构决定一切. Internal structure is what matters. 写法. The nature and function of things are determined by their internal structures. Sugar is sweet while tea is bitter, and this is decided by their structure, not by people. The price of a 1 carat, 0.2 g, diamond is 14,000 RMB yuan, but the price of an ounce of gold is only about 10,270 RMB yuan. That is to say that 1 carat of gold costs 70 renminbi yuan. The price difference between diamonds and gold is 200:1. The fundamental reason lies in the different internal structures of the two. The value of 1 carat of common stone is too small to measure. The greatest creator, gods and Buddha, angels, bodhisattvas, celestial beings, devils, demons, monsters, mortals, evil spirits, animals, and other life are quite different from one another, and the reason is also because of their different internal structures. Celestials, saints, sages, mortals, laity, laymen, and ignorant people are all humans, but they are unlike each other because each has a different internal structure. It is as with mushrooms that some are nutritious and will feed you, but some others are poisonous and will sicken or kill you. This, too, is because of their different internal structures. From this we can understand that the role a person plays, the responsibilities that they assume, and the accomplishments that they achieve are completely determined by their internal structure and not by others or by society. Gems are inlaid into crowns, while cobblestones are not. Thus we further understand that it is wrong to envy or admire others, or to blame social injustice. In any case, we should neither complain, resent, nor loathe having a low social status or position. This is called being content in poverty and devoted to spiritual matters. Since we understand that all things are determined by internal structures, we should then make efforts to change and perfect our own internal structures rather than flattering or currying favor with others, using connections for special treatment, envying and admiring others, complaining and resenting others or our society, seeking magic power or skills, seeking shortcuts or begging for mercy and help, blaming or accusing others for our bad luck, being opportunistic, or finding secrets to success. Peaches and plums do not talk, but people come to pick them. The fragrance of flowers attract butterflies. Peonies do not assume their beauty, but people naturally sing songs about them. No matter how flies and mosquitoes dress themselves, people will still detest them. Beggars cannot have refined tastes. Dog meat is not to be served at feasts. Those who lack elegance and good etiquette are not presentable. In short, the internal structure of each thing determines its social role and status. At this point, if someone still complains about heaven and earth or blames others or society for their ill treatment or bad luck in life, or finds excuses and reasons to blame others rather than themselves for their failures, then they would have to be either ignorant or just plain stupid. Are you not satisfied with your current situation? Do not find external excuses and reasons, but make sure to look for source causes from your own internal structure. The internal structures of things are determined by their quality. Taking people, for example, good intrinsic qualities are marked with diligence, kindness, purity, honesty, integrity, modesty, and open-mindedness, whereas bad qualities are shown as jealousy, blame, selfishness, greed, laziness, arrogance, dishonesty, and narrow-mindedness. A person who does not have good quality can never be smooth and refined no matter how they struggle, be accomplished in their career, or sail easily through life. They may enjoy good fortune for brief times, but not for very long. People who are moving toward heaven through self-refinery and self-improvement should never waste valuable time and energy on changing the external world or on changing their external appearance. They should invest their time and energy into improving and perfecting the non-material structures of their lives and on developing good quality. If their quality is not excellent and their structure is not perfect, then they can never reach heaven. It is the same as with a hard rock. Try as it may, it will never be cherished and valued by others. It must alter its internal structure in order to be valued and loved as a treasure and be applied in the most eye-striking and noble places. 让我们来读无字天书. Reading the book without words. Xiefeng. Translated by Transin and edited by Care. There are 3 types of books. The first one is with words, such as newspapers, magazines, journals, and other publications, both paper and online. The second is with symbols, such as sculptures, paintings, and music. The third kind includes everything in nature. The so-called book without words refers to all images and things in nature with neither words nor symbols. The most esoteric of the 3 books is the one without words, but the simplest is the one with words. People with low spiritual natures can only read books with words, but only people with high spiritual natures can read the book without words. What the gods, Buddha, celestial beings, and saints read is the book without words. The 6th Zen patriarch, Huineng, was illiterate, but became the patriarch because he could read the book without words. Therefore, if a person wants to become a master, a celestial being, or Buddha, they must read the book without words. Reading things, phenomena, and people is reading the book without words. Let us try to read it. A person with body odor or halitosis, bad breath, might not be aware of it. When we eat garlic or green onions, we do not smell them ourselves, but others will smell them and will know it. The natures and attributes of things give off their corresponding smells. Those who have smelled or eaten durian know it by its smell. We can learn this truth from the book without words. The essence is revealed from the phenomenon. For instance, if we want to know a person's nature, we can learn their internal natural structure from what they have said and done before. Many allusions in Chinese history are full of wisdom, such as the relationship between Su Dongpa and Master Foyan. Su Dongpa always wanted to outsmart Master Foyan, but he never succeeded. Once, Master Foyan told Su Dongpa that he looked like a statue of Buddha, but Su Dongpa replied that Master Foyan looked like a heap of cow dung. To this, Master Foyan just smiled and walked away silently. Su Dongpa thought he had taken the upper hand this time, so he joyfully told his smart sister Su Xiaomei about it when he got home. Hearing this, Su Xiaomei said, "You are utterly defeated this time. Because Master Foyan has Buddha in his heart, he sees a statue of him in you. But you have a heap of cow dung in your heart, so you see that in him." Nature reveals what it is. The benevolent see benevolence, and the wise see wisdom. A person who is filled with love can feel nature's love and others' love, but a person with no love in their heart can never feel your love regardless of how much you show it. Those who always compliment others have rich and beautiful spirits and souls, but those who always demean, mock, criticize, insult, and attack others, and who always speak badly about them, both to their faces and behind their backs, most clearly have ugly souls and extremely poor spirits. Speaking well of others shows that one is good, but speaking ill of others shows that one is not. Flowers always emit lovely fragrances wherever they are, but dog droppings always give off undesirable stench in spite of their surroundings. One who accuses others of heresy exposes that they themselves are heretical. As with Su Dongpa, he had cow dung in his heart, so he saw Master Foyan as such. Therefore, people should not care about others' comments and judgments. Flies and mosquitoes will consider you disgusting because they are disgusting, but butterflies will find you beautiful because they are beautiful. An artist painted a picture which he believed to be fairly good, but he wanted to know how people would react to it. So he left his picture in a public place with a brush and some ink next to it and wrote on top of the painting, "Please point out any faulty strokes in this painting." At day's end, he recovered his painting, but the painting was completely different. Each stroke was criticized as being faulty. The painter was so sad and distressed that he barely slept that night. But the next day, he painted the exact same picture as before and took it back to that same public place, except this time he wrote, "Please point out the superb artistry of this painting." At the end of the day, the painting was again completely different, except that now all the comments described its elegance and beauty. He sighed with emotion. The good or bad of the painting was determined by the viewer's state. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Quantum mechanics also explains the same principle. The movements of fundamental particles are decided by the consciousness of the persons watching them. The Japanese scientist Masaru Emoto found that the structures of pure ice crystals can be shaped by the mentalities of people observing them. If the observer's heart is full of love, or if the freezing water is exposed to positive emotions, such as love or gratitude, or to music, prayers, or art, the ice crystals become symmetric and perfect. But if the observer's heart is filled with hate, or if the water is exposed to negativity such as mean words or destructive images, they appear very disorderly and irregular. Therefore, we should not be affected by others' comments about ourselves, or we will be fooled. The Pygmalion, or Rosenthal, effect on psychology illustrates this point well. People develop in line with others' suggestions and expectations. We must only be committed to ourselves and ignore other people's comments in order to live out our own lives. If someone accuses you of being mentally disordered, just smile and do not get upset, for it is they who are mentally disturbed. But if someone praises you as being a saint, do not be blindly proud, for it is they who are the saint. Let us read the book without words as such. I have written more than 100 articles on revelations which may help you to find your enlightenment. 如何知道自己的前世? How to know our previous lives. Dayform Celestial. Translated by Transin and edited by Care. The hypnotic induction method is one way, but we can also observe ourselves from the life clues found in our previous lives. The universe is holographic, our life is holographic, and our life information base contains all of the information from all the ages of all life journeys of all generations, and the information is always passed down. This information is hidden, but it will reveal itself every now and then. By capturing these momentarily revealed clues, we can trace our pasts. Understanding the life characteristics of 36-dimensional space is conducive for us to understand more of our previous lives. There is only one kind of human nature, but from the people that we know and those that we know of through various channels, we can see that human nature are diverse and colorful. There are quantum differences between people, sometimes even poles apart. The reasons are that people have different origins. Some are from the heaven world, some from the animal world, and some are reincarnations from the mortal world. Even for those from the heaven world, there are great differences. Those from the Elysium world and from the thousand-year world can never be the same. Likewise, even for those from the animal world, those who were carnivores will have totally different natures than those who were herbivores. In this sense, mankind is a rabble. The mortal world is a tenement yard for all kinds of lives. There are hundreds of thousands of clues to trace our previous lives, but we can only have rough ideas about them from these clues. Here are 18 examples. If you have holographic order thinking, congratulations, then you are from the side of the greatest creator. You are a god. If you have formless thinking, congratulations, then you came to the mortal world from the Elysium world. You were a Buddha. If you know that you can change a world magically, then you were a super celestial being. If you were born to like freedom and always seek happiness and joy, you can follow your heart's desire without overstepping the line, then you were a celestial being. If you often dream of flying freely, your mind and body are often in a strange state of joy, you have no fear of death and hate your life in the mortal world, then you are from the 10,000-year world. If you are always looking for the way back home and feel that you do not belong to the mortal world, you are moreover benevolent and kind, a fun lover. You do not want to be fettered by states, religions, organizations, or families, and you fancy and yearn for a better life in the future, then you are from the 1,000-year world. If you have the Taiji thinking and you are super wise, clever, and gifted, then you are someone influential in society, maybe even a sage or saint. If you love your own nation, culture, family, and family life, and think all this is perfectly justified, then you are a mortal human. If you often dream of flying in your dreams, but still feel attached to the mortal world, then you are a bird. If you derive pleasure from and even love eating meat, and have never felt the suffering and misery of life being slaughtered for meat, then you were a predatory carnivore. If you naturally prefer vegetarian or vegan foods, are naturally timid and afraid of being hurt, like to depend on groups, love your family and religion, then you were a docile herbivore. If you inherently want to be a policeman, are very sensitive to theft and crime in society, and always want to arrest criminals, then you were feline, a cat. If you innately want to be a soldier, are willing to defend your land and home, then you were a dog or wolf. If you naturally prefer to take, embezzle, and steal, then you were a mouse or other rodent. If your nature is to bear hardship without complaining, endure bullying without resisting, harbor grudges without showing them in words and deeds, be trampled upon and feel powerless to resist, completely abide by your destiny, then you were a farm animal from the livestock world. If you are naturally aggressive and quick-thinking, good at sorcery, and can derive pleasure from the pain of other life, then you are from the devil world. If you have extraordinary bearing and charming style, are endearing and extremely selfish, then you were a goblin. If you are clever in trivial matters and have mastered a lot of magic tricks, you always watch for your chance to seize others' love and property, then you were an evil spirit. Draw analogies by checking yourself against the dispositions of other life, and you will find traces of your previous lives. Note: life in the inflamed layer, the frozen layer, and the netherworld usually do not directly enter the human world. Insects and many plants belong to other life cycles, which never enter into the human world. The above is only a general outline. If you want to know your previous lives from A to Z, you will have to observe and verify repeatedly. Like attracts like, you can also find your shadows of the past from those people with whom you associate most often and most closely. After reading this article, some people may be excited, but others may be angry. Please calm down, because what you see is your past, not your present. No matter what you were in the past, you are now a human. After you know the coordinate system and your coordinate point, you will have a clear idea of the direction and destination of your life's evolution. If you think this article is bullshit and nonsense, just take it as a fun game. Please refer to the next article, How to Predict Your Own Afterlife. 如何推测自己的来世? How to Predict Your Own Afterlife. Dayform Celestial. Translated by Transin and edited by Care. Everything has the ability to move and develop, and this includes life. When we see a pregnant woman, we know that she is conceiving life. She is having a baby. After the baby is born, we know that it will gradually grow up, move from childhood to adolescence, youth, middle age, and old age. After spring, we know it will be summer, fall, and winter. As long as we know our situation, we can predict our life state in our next phase. To speculate about your afterlife, you first need to understand the non-material structural state of your life. You cannot see your life's non-material structure with your naked eyes. The only way to do this is to examine your own consciousness. You can predict your afterlife according to the characteristics of your own consciousness. Consciousness is the essences of life. Different consciousnesses determine different life states. Some days ago, Foshan Celestial and I went to enjoy a terrace in Yuanyang, Yunnan. When we went deep into the village and I saw how some elderly Hani people were having hard lives, I asked him, these elderly people have suffered in this valley throughout their lifetimes. Will they continue to be here in their afterlives? They should leave this valley. Foshan Celestial replied, they will continue to reincarnate here because they have no other place or world in their consciousnesses unless they desire to leave this valley and learn about the outside world. This answer reveals the secret of reincarnation. Consciousness decides existence. To an individual life, what is not in consciousness does not exist. What is wanted to exist, it must exist in consciousness at first. As the French philosopher René Descartes put it, I think, therefore I am. Why do I have the nerve to say that I can guide Chanyuan Celestials to the Celestial Islands continent? Because I keep infusing the content of it into them. When they understand all the details about it, especially the characteristics of life and the lifestyles of the super celestial beings there, and gradually clear away other consciousnesses, they will undoubtedly go to the Celestial Islands continent in their next lives. This is scientific truth. It is meticulous and exact. So, how can you predict your own afterlife? You must read and fully understand life's 18 qualities in humans, beings, and life first, and then you will know. People look alike in appearance, but they are very different deep inside. At the same time, You can check your faults by referring to the Supreme Book of Rewards and Punishments. Here are seven suggestions. If you have killed many dogs, then you will be a dog in your next life. This is karma and exact. You can make analogies for other cases. If you have murdered a person, then you will inevitably go to the hell world, the inflamed layer or the frozen layer. Divine's punishments, though slow, are always sure, with big meshes, yet letting nothing slip through. If you have abused life, then you will definitely go to the hell world, the netherworld. You reap what you sow. If you oppress the good and kind, swindle and cheat, steal and loot, then you will go to the animal world. As you sow, so shall you reap. If you love freedom, but are still ignorant, then you will be a bird. If you owe too many debts that are left unpaid, then you will likely go to the livestock world. If you are kind and hardworking and love your family, culture, and state very much, then you will continue to be reborn as mortal human. Remember the warnings and teachings of Jesus Christ. If you leave a penny of unpaid debt, then you cannot leave the place where you owe it. If you have unfulfilled wishes, then you will return back to the mortal world. You will have to investigate into your past lives. Do not assume that if you forget something, it will just go away. Make a careful list of your wrongdoings from the Supreme Book of Rewards and Punishments. If you find some, do not just let them go, but learn to compensate. Here are six suggestions. If you have harmed animals, henceforth love them. If you have harmed people, henceforth love them. If you owe someone emotionally, pay back the emotion. If you owe debts, pay back the debts. Ask for forgiveness for the damage, abuse, and bullying of people or other life. Do merits as far as possible and do merits according to the teachings of Buddha. Do more formless almsgiving. If your merits are great enough, you can compensate for your faults and debts that have accumulated over many generations. If you have a clear conscience and have paid back the grace of your parents and nature, and if you do not owe a single debt to any person or animal, then you will be free to go to heaven in your next life. Those who talk about spirits, deities, fortune, and disaster, lose nature, are sneaky, speak voices dripping with sarcasm, resort to sorcery, and talk nonsense will become ghosts, demons, and monsters. We can just look at the variety of fruits and flowers that we see. Why are they so different from each other? The reason lies in the structures of their lives. Their different life structures are the differences of their entities, and in the teachings of Cinku and Celestial, their forms and uses will be different. Always remember these four truths. If you eliminate the concepts of family, nation, culture, and religion from your consciousness, are fond of freedom, happiness, and joy, have repaid all your debts in the mortal world, and have done merits, then you will go to the 1,000-year world of heaven. If you often dream of flying and are in a state of joy without having sexual contact, then you will go to the 10,000-year world of heaven. If you possess Buddha consciousness, then you will go to the corresponding Elysium world. If you revere the greatest creator, revere life, take the way of the greatest creator, have obtained supernatural powers, and can fancy an ideal world, then there is no doubt that you will go to the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. You are the one who knows best about what kind of non-material structure your life has achieved. If you do not know, then your spiritual perception has not yet opened, and you should work at opening it. The above are general ideas and may not be very accurate, but they can serve as a general navigation. You need to draw inferences about other cases from one instance in order to predict your afterlife. 人生的轨迹与自由意志 The trajectory and free will of life. Xiefeng. Translated by Transin and edited by Care. There are many times more stars in the sky than people on Earth. Each star floats along its own orbit around the galaxy, and each orbit is determined and is not its free choice. Life also has its track. Birth, growth, aging, and death is our inescapable course. 18. Properties cannot be self-managed within life's track. If we make a detailed search and analysis, we can see that each detail on life's track is predetermined, including our name, temperament or character, words and actions, who we will encounter, what we will suffer, what diseases we will succumb to at each stage of life, when the end will come, and so on. Here is the question. Since our life trajectory and its details are already predestined, do people have free will or not? And if they do have free will, How then is it manifested? There is no doubt that people have free will. It is precisely this free will that causes the hesitation, trouble, agony, fear, and sadness in life. The universe is one. The universe is holographic. The universe is a big play. Everything that happens in human society is a single episode of the big play of the universe. Everyone is an actor on this big stage of life and performs in strict accordance with a predetermined plot and is playing their role in this prescribed scenario. The hesitations, troubles, agonies, fears, sadness, and other psychological feelings in life result from the conflicts and contradictions between each person's free will and their role in the play. You are asked to play a mouse, but your free will wants you to play an elephant. You are asked to live in a thatched cottage, but your free will wants you to live in a five-star hotel. You are asked to cooperate and serve a certain person, but you attempt to make them cooperate and serve you. You are asked to grow vegetables, but you hope to make a spaceship. You are asked to do good or evil, but you choose to do the opposite, and so on. This is the conflict between your role in the play and your free will. Whenever the arrangement of the play is contradicted by free will, hesitation, trouble, agony, anxiety, fear, worry, and sadness will take over. If your free will agrees with the arrangement of the plot, you will feel peace, joy, happiness, and blessings in your heart and feel free. The highest realm of self-refinery and self-improvement requires you to eliminate your self-persistence and to become free from ego. It is only in this way that you can unite with Tao. Then, when you do that, you will attain the spiritual state of an immortal. Here is another question. Since everything is predestined, what is the value and meaning of struggling and making efforts? First, the so-called struggling and making efforts are barely more than nonsense. When a program is determined, the role to be played is determined and one's so-called struggles and efforts are determined. That is, you will have to struggle and make efforts because a series of things will force you to. It is decided by the non-material structure of your life. Your character and temperament will force or encourage you to struggle and make efforts. This is determined by the self-state. It is not that I want to struggle and make efforts, but my character and the things happening around me and their ramifications prompt me to do so. This is described as, many things are not in charge of our hands in this world. Every person yearns for a better future and to go to heaven, so who can eventually achieve their most beautiful dreams? Also, now that everything is predestined, what is the point of personal yearning? This involves some of the programs of the play of the universe. The play of the universe has destiny and variables. The plot of the play is destiny. Who shall play which characters in the play are variables. If you play well, you can constantly play the role more according to your free will, such as to play in heaven. If you play badly, you will play a role more deviated from your free will, such as to play a demon in hell. Who then will go to heaven? Anyone who can play the role in accordance with the established plot of the play, free from self-persistence and free from ego, will go to heaven, but anyone who has conflicts with the arranged plot, that is, whose self-conscious is too strong and is unwilling to play the role, will end up in hell. We can find such a secret from this. Going to heaven or hell has nothing to do with the role you play, but everything with how well you play it. For instance, from most people's perspective, Adolf Hitler should definitely be in hell, but from the plot of the play of the universe, if he played his part very well, he would be in heaven. No matter what your role is, an emperor or a thief, as long as you play it well, your reward will be to go to heaven. If you do not play it well, you will be doomed to reside in hell. So, how does one know whether they are playing well or not? Here is a very simple validation method. Namely, no matter what role you play, be it one with much pain and suffering or one that enjoys happiness and pleasure, be it a role to ride the whirlwind or one to suffer the commonplace. If you can stay calm, be happy and joyful, free from hesitation, trouble, agony, anxiety, worry, and fear, but with gratitude, then you have played well. Otherwise, you will have failed the role. Those who have mastered the essence of the teachings and instructions of Buddha understand that self-persistence is the biggest obstacle to the Elysium world. Self-persistence is the result of a strong free consciousness. If you do everything according to your own ideas and wishes, if you always believe that yours is a just cause, if you always insist on your own views, if you always know that you are right, then you cannot play the arranged plot of the play very well, and you will be miserable and unable to be rewarded with the Tao of Heaven. Take things as they are. Associate with others by following your predestined relationships. Acting in accordance with your nature and taking advantage of opportunities is the best way to play the role. 雪风是yan, the interpretation of predestined ties. 写风, translated by treasure and edited by care. Tie, a bond of information that will reconnect two lives in the future for favor, disgrace, or injury. Once you get a tie, it must be ended, otherwise their attractive force will be inescapable. Predestined ties. Potential energy accumulates from the attractive forces between lives. It circulates in infinite space and eternal time until it reaches the point where it transforms into kinetic energy, releases it, and then causes the attractive force to disappear. Favorable ties. The information to be processed that remains in the negative universe which result from the love and honor between lives who bless each other and are eager to reunite. The information will never disappear until these wills are realized and the ties end. Good karma. One life gives another life a sincere blessing and a favor that will cause a corresponding gravity to return in the future. Evil karma. The hatred and debt between lives which never disappear until the hatred is settled or the debt is paid off. Worldly ties. All the information left and all the debts owed in the mortal world are called worldly ties. Marriage ties. The love-hate relationships between husbands and wives are called marriage ties. Celestial ties. A bond with a celestial being is called a celestial tie. End ties. End ties are when all debts are paid back. Following predestined ties. According to the arrangement of the universal scenario and plot, accept and play the assigned role with pleasure. Ties are kinds of invisible meshes which are established between lives. Divine punishments are slow, but always sure with big meshes, yet letting nothing slip through. Once getting a tie, it must be ended, otherwise you will be unable to escape their meshes. Worldly ties must be ended in the mortal world. Heavenly ones must be ended in heaven, and hellish ones must be ended in hell. Ties are attractive forces. Those which are not ended will stay in tow forever, no matter how far apart in time or space, and they can never be escaped. Anyone who wants to go to heaven must end all ties in the mortal world as soon as possible, whether they are good karma, evil karma, favorable ties, or marriage ties. As long as there are the ties, it is best to end them as soon as possible, otherwise you will be unable to leave the mortal world, and will have to reincarnate back into the mortal world of samsara to end the ties in future lives. 缘的奥秘和真谛. The secret and truth of predestination. Xiefeng. Translated by Transin and edited by Care. Preface. Brushing against shoulders in this life is the result of the 500 times of looking back in the previous lives. To ride in the same boat is the result of 100 years of cultivation. To sleep on the same pillow is the result of millennia of cultivation. Knowing I am not destined to enter her heart, how can I compare with the catkins and swallows? Flowers bloom and wither. Tides rise and fall. Spring awakens the branches. Running water is heartless, but the grass welcomes it every year. People may have sorrow or joy and be near or far apart, but the moon will still wax and wane. Born of these scenes, can the word sorrow suffice? Dynasties fall, but mountains and rivers remain. So how many times can we see the beautiful sunset? The events of our world are like games of chess. Each game is only new because it is destined to be so. In a life, people endure hardships and twists and turns in the mortal world and repeat samsara. Some people are designated to meet from thousands of miles apart, but not to know their next-door neighbors. All these are predestination. All things are predestined. Definition of predestination. Predestination is the cause of generating, sustaining, destroying, and changing of all forms and all things, and is the cause of all events. It is the bridge and the tie which causes sorrow and joy, separations and reunions. It is the factor which decides the development of matter and the origins of desires, words, and deeds connected to other things in the universe which are bound to happen in the future since beginningless time. It is a kind of debt after receiving other services or graces which have not been paid back timely. It is the set of revenge, wrong with wrong. Several cases of predestination. 614 years ago, Emperor Qingzu of Ming, King of Yin, Zhu Di killed 873 members of the 9 tribes of the Fang Xiaoru clan. Yet he still could not vent his anger and counted Fang Xiaoru's students as one clan and killed them all. Many people perished. Why did that happen? What was its cause? It turned out that Fang Xiaoru's father had selected a cemetery plot. At night, he dreamed that the Red Snake King was sticking his red tongue out and requesting earnestly that he delay the groundbreaking for 1 or 2 days so that his family could move away. The next day, the Fang family dug the earth and built their tomb as scheduled. Soon, the workers exclaimed, "We have found a red snake pit." Countless red snakes slithered and fled in panic. Fang Xiaoru's father ordered them to kill all the red snakes with fire and knives. That night, the bleeding red snake king cursed him in a dream. "I will kill as many of you as you killed of us." Shortly thereafter, the Fang family gave birth to a baby son, Fang Xiaoru. Born into a scholarly family, he was very smart and diligent as a boy. He was eloquent and charming in appearance, and his tongue was red. He was the reincarnation of the Red Snake King. He deliberately resisted an imperial edict from King Yan in order to enrage him and fulfill that curse by implicating his 9 tribes. After killing all 873 members of the Fang clan, the number still could not match the number of the red snakes killed on that day so very long ago. Fang Xiaoru deliberately provoked King Yan again, even 10 tribes. So what? The king then had all of Fang Xiaoru's students put to death, and the Red Snake King finally got his revenge. In the ancient times, there was a prince who was very handsome, intelligent, and well-educated, and whose closest friend was a young man of equally excellent and outstanding virtues. Like Nose-like, the two would discuss state strategies, compose poems and couplets, and toast the moon together. They discussed everything under heaven and were very intimate. One day, they went out for fun and met a girl who was unspeakably beautiful, cultured and decent, well-versed in lyre playing, chess, calligraphy and painting, a matchless stunning beauty throughout the whole country. After a period of time, both the prince and the young man confessed their love to the girl, but in the end she chose the common young man rather than the prince. The prince fell into an abyss of depression and pain and went to see the most accomplished and eminent monk to ask him why this happened. The monk resorted to magic and presented the following view to the prince. On a beach, a beautiful naked woman laid motionless. A man came to the seaside and saw her. He approached her and placed his hand to her nose. Evidently, the woman was dead. He turned and walked away. A moment later, a second man arrived. He also saw the woman, and as the man before him had done, he examined to see whether she was alive, but she was indeed dead. He then removed his jacket, covered the woman, and went away. After a while, a third man came. After observing, he too realized that the woman was dead. He stopped and carried her on his back until he found a place at the beach to bury her. He also made a mark for her grave. The eminent monk then said, "The woman who you both love is the woman who died on the beach. The man who took his jacket off and covered her was you in a previous life, and she needed to repay your favor for a period of time in this one. But the man who buried her was your best friend, and she needed to return his favor for the rest of her life in the late Ming and early Qing dynasties. There was a man from Anhui named Hu Mingxuan. One day, his knees were attacked by impetigo, and he suffered a biting pain. As time went on, the impetigo grew worse as a person's face, with eyebrows, eyes, a nose, and a mouth appeared on it. Hu Mingxuan turned to 130 physicians who not only could not heal him, but actually made it much worse. On December 7, 1651, in a dreamy state, Hu Mingxuan faintly heard a voice coming from the impetigo on his knees. "I am Lu Zhaorong from the Liang dynasty of the 5 dynasties, 906 to 923. You killed me in the Luoyang palace. Today I come to take revenge. How can physicians cure you? Confess your sins to Buddha, and perhaps you will be remedied." After Hu Mingxuan woke from the dream, he stopped seeking physicians for help and swore to confess and to copy the Buddhist sutras. At first, he could stand up with the support of a cane, then he could stand and walk. Eventually he healed without taking any medicine. After more than 700 years, the soul was still looking for his enemy for retaliation. In the time of Buddha Sakyamuni, an elderly man wanted to be a monk. It is important for a monk to have good spiritual roots, so Sakyamuni asked his arhats, disciples, to see if this person had good ones to decide whether he could be a monk. All the arhats shook their heads after seeing this man and agreed, no good roots. Arhats could only see 500 cycles of life and found that he had never had any relationship with Buddha during those 500 cycles, so he did not have good roots. Sakyamuni then examined the man and proclaimed, in the beginningless time, he was a woodcutter. He came across a tiger in the mountain and was so scared that he climbed up a tree and cried out, Namo Buddha. From his cry of Namo Buddha, today his good roots appeared. Sakyamuni ordained him, and he later rose to become an arhat himself. In the Shu kingdom, there was a bully named Guo Jingzhang. One day, he was drunk and hit a poor man, Zhaoan, with a wine pot. The mouth of the pot smashed his head and killed him immediately. Guo Jingzhang gave Zhaoan's son a lot of money to help conceal the matter from the law. Soon afterward, Guo Jingzhang's head grew a sore about 3 to 4 centimeters deep like the one where the pot had hit Zhaoan. His bone was exposed. He bled and discharged a constant stream of pus, and he could occasionally see Zhaoan's face in it. The sore eventually penetrated into his throat and killed him. A scholar in the Yuan dynasty was seriously harmed by a friend. That night, he became enraged and determined to kill the man. He passed a temple on the way to his former friend's house, where an eminent monk stood at the gate. From his deva eyes, the monk saw that the scholar was tailed by a vicious demon. As the scholar arrived at the door of his intended victim's house, an idea struck him. He has turned from being my friend to my enemy, but his mother and wife did me no harm. If I kill him, they will both lose their means of life. After several rounds of inner struggling, he decided to forgive the man, forget the idea of killing him, and go away. On his way back, he passed the same temple where the same monk was still standing at the gate. But this time, the monk's deva eyes saw a completely different scene. The vicious demon which had tailed the scholar was gone, and he was escorted by angels above his head. The monk told the scholar what he had seen and asked him what happened. The scholar told his story truthfully, and the monk exclaimed that the demon and the gods were moved by just a thought. The idea of tolerance changed the scholar's fate. He later became an official, and the friend who had betrayed him died on a battlefield in a mountain village in Damiao Township in Chaoyang City, Liaoning Province. There lived a villager named Li Cheng. Li Cheng's grandmother had a relative named Zhang Qing who used to carry and sell fabrics for the Li family, but whose own family was very poor because he lost in everything he did throughout his life, and his family had been supported by Li Cheng until Zhang Qing died. Li Cheng even paid to have him buried. About 1 month afterward, Li Cheng was sleeping soundly in the middle of the night when he suddenly heard someone calling his name. Li Cheng, I am Zhang Qing. I am coming to pay my debt back to you. Li Cheng found it strange after he woke up 3 times in a row from his sleep. Just then, the house manager came to tell him, Master, the big horse just gave birth to a colt. They knew that the colt was Zhang Qing reincarnated and named him that. Several years later, Li Cheng pulled a cart to Basi Jiazi and stayed in a postal station there. The next day, the local area was having a fair. In the morning, the horse went to the fair alone and stamped the earthen pots and utensils of a street vendor, leaving only 5 big basins intact. The vendor was very angry, and he gripped the horse to find justice. Li Cheng was informed that his horse had made trouble for him and went to the fair to apologize and promise to compensate the vendor for his losses. Li Cheng yelled, Zhang Qing, what is wrong with you today? The vendor wondered why the horse was named Zhang Qing. Li Cheng told him about Zhang Qing's home and his reincarnation into the horse. The vendor said, I knew Zhang Qing. I bought some fabrics while he was alive, and I still owe him money. He then calculated his losses from the daily wares, and the value was exactly what he owed to Zhang Qing. So the balance was even. They all understood why the 5 big basins were left untouched. Yuan Liaofan, the author of the 4 Lessons of Liaofan, in the 16th century was from Jiashan, Zhejiang. When he was young, a fortune teller predicted the good and bad fortunes to come in his life, including his rankings in the imperial examinations, his official titles, that he would not father a son, and when he would die. Later, many things were fulfilled accurately just as the fortune teller had predicted. Every day he became increasingly idle, knowing that his fate was predestined and that everything would come along automatically. Then he met Zen master Yungu, who told him, "Fate is created by the self and blessings are sought after by the self. Pursuing it in a correct way, attaining it, depends on your destiny." He began to understand that fate could be changed and became determined to amend his faults. He became tolerant of others' wrongdoings to him and committed to doing good with the greatest determination and perseverance. Surely enough, the original predictions lost accuracy after he decided to change his fate. Not only was he promoted to higher offices, but he also fathered 4 sons and survived a full 16 years longer than had been predicted. 人的奥秘和真谛 The Secret and Truth of Predestination 2. Xiefeng. Translated by Transin and edited by Kair. The 8 descriptions of predestination. A tie will not end until the debt is paid. Once a tie is formed, only its resolution can dismiss it, and with that, it shall end. Love and hate determine the depths of ties. Some ties are very shallow while others are very deep. The depth of a tie is decided by the degree of love and hate associated with it. The stronger the degree of love or hate, the deeper the tie is. The weaker they are, the shallower it is. The short or long of the tie is determined by debts. Ties are essentially debt relationships. Debt relationships are not related to the amount of the debts as much as to the length of time involved. As long as there is owing, the tie is long. Once the debt is settled, the tie will end. Mortals create ties, but Tao ends them. Both good and bad ties are created by mortals. Once a tie is created, it is controlled by the reward and punishment program of Tao and will eventually befall the person who created it. This is the so-called good will be rewarded with good, and evil will be punished with evil. If it is not repaid now, that is because the time has not yet come. Once the time comes, it will surely be repaid. With neither shape nor form, but with shadows and traces, we can neither see nor touch a tie. It is a kind of non-material existence. It is like a time bomb. We do not know when it will explode, perhaps in a couple of hours, or perhaps not for hundreds or thousands of years, but ties have shadows and traces. If we open Buddha eyes to trace them, we can find their origins. The beginning and ending of a tie is but a thought. Once you get a tie, you will have to dismiss it in order to keep it from falling on you, and if you want to eliminate a part of the tie, you will have to do good, especially a hidden good, or formless almsgiving. Do evil not to a single thing, and do good to all things. Repentance, praying, giving alms, and selfless dedication are the best ways to eliminate ties, especially an evil tie on the halfway. Things arrive when ties arrive and things disappear when ties end. All coincidences and emergency events arise due to ties. The tie makes the meeting. When the tie ends, that is, when the equivalent debts are paid, the event will naturally end. When the tie ends, things will part. Beginning or ending a tie depends on perception. Human life is a process of tying and untying. Everything is tied. Ties are the sea, and we are the fish swimming in it. Ties are like invisible, densely woven meshes over which people walk. Divine punishments are slow but sure, with big meshes yet letting nothing slip through. This divine mesh is the tie controlled by Tao. If people do not perceive this, then they cannot escape the divine mesh, and as a result they will rise and fall in the sea of ties and reincarnate until they do. This is how ties form and how they end. The 8 best ways to end worldly ties and form a celestial tie. Praying and repenting, formless almsgiving. Praying and repenting in accordance with the teachings of Jesus Christ, attaining the great vehicle, and making formless almsgiving according to Buddha Shakyamuni's teaching are the ways to end all the evil ties, repay all the debts since the beginningless time, accumulate treasures in heaven, and go directly to the Elysium world, the kingdom of the greatest creator. Associating with others by following predestined relationships, swallowing humiliation, and bearing heavy loads. The ties that we formed since beginningless time will come in succession. To this end, we need to associate with others by following our predestined relationships and resolve them in succession. Whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him also the left one, because it is the result of an ill tie. If you do not allow them to smite you, then the ill tie will not end, but will recur in another form in the future. If others scold you, bully you, insult you, or trample upon you, be they relatives, friends, or strangers, then you must accept it with delight and with neither anger nor resentment. Pray for and bless your enemy. Doing evil not to a single thing, doing good to all things, regardless of what dilemma or situation you find yourself in, you should have only good thoughts, good words, good expressions, and good deeds, never evil ones. Just praise all others and speak not one bad word against any others. However you speak, it must be active, positive, and optimistic, never passive, negative, or pessimistic. Try your best to bring happiness and joy to people rather than distress and sadness. You should not only treat people this way, but all life and all nature. Always giving, never taking. The guiding principle of the universe is that the sum of positive and negative energy is always zero. Losses and gains are always equal. What one gains and loses always balance out. If you lose, you will certainly gain. If you gain, you will certainly lose, so never think that someone owes you, but remind yourself what you owe others. If others bully us, it is because we owe them and it is time to pay them back. If others owe us, be it emotional debt or financial debt, do not ask for it, because it will be returned in one way or another. Perhaps in this life, perhaps in the afterlife, perhaps from the head, perhaps from the toe. All in all, the law of the sum of negative and positive energy always is zero will work. We just give and leave the taking to Tao. Being apart from the mortal world and avoiding mundane entanglements. Living in the mortal world is to inevitably contact a variety of mortals and deities, but remember that in no case must you ever take advantage of others, not even those closest to you, your parents, children, husband, or wife. In all the universe, heaven and earth, there are no advantages to be had. Whatever advantages you think you have taken are harmful because you will bear losses to balance them out, especially when you are dealing with ignorant persons, deities, mortals, sages, let alone the public. If you take gains from beasts and birds, then your nature will be harmed. If you crave gains from people, then you will bear losses from the Tao of heaven. The hard truth is that if you are not corrupt, do not take advantages nor owe debts, then you are staying away from the mortal world and are free from the ties of mundane entanglements. One particularly important thing is that love and sex must always be completely consensual from both sides and totally free from luring or forcing, or such a mundane entanglement will be as difficult to end as cotton or silk. Pursuing celestial beings and worshipping Buddha builds good ties. Celestial beings are in the celestial world. Buddha is in the Buddhist world. Both are good places to be. Building relationships with celestial beings and Buddha gives you hope to exit from samsara and go straight to the realm of freedom. The actual manifestation of spiritual wisdom is giving advantages and benefits to all life in the lower level life space and owing them nothing, building relationships with life of the higher level life space, emulating celestial beings, and worshipping Buddha whenever and wherever you see them. It is always best to have celestial being or Buddha owe something to you. Forgiving the wrong and severing its attraction. We should forgive all those who have ever harmed our life since the beginningless time and stop asking them to repay us. This is the way to completely sever our ties with them and develop no new ones, which can let the attraction of life in the lower level life space completely disappear from us so that we can ascend to heaven and become an immortal. Revering the greatest creator and taking the way of the greatest creator. This is the heart and core to end worldly ties and form a celestial tie. Also the top and best way to achieve a state of oneness with man and nature and Tao, as well as to go to the Elysium world. Everything that Life of Chanyuan does is centered on taking the way of the greatest creator. If you want to understand this more deeply, then you will have to read and understand the meanings of Chanyuan Corpus and Siefeng Corpus, enter the new oasis for life, and serve for the Life of Chanyuan era. Conclusion. All forms and things in the universe develop and change as the result of predestination. When predestination exists, then forms, matter, and things exist. When predestination ends, then forms, matter, and things end. Good ties bear good fruit and bad ties bear bad fruit. Mundane entanglements fall into the mortal world, but affinity with Buddha goes to the Elysium world. This truth must be understood. Those who understand the secrets and the truth are celestial beings and Buddha. Those who do not are mortal beings. 现实与虚幻的辩证关系. The dialectical relationship between reality and illusion. Xiefeng. Translated by Transin and edited by Care. Reality is real in name only. Illusions are illusory in name only. Reality is illusory and material. Illusions are real and non-material. The material world is the presentation of the non-material world. The non-material world is the foundation of the material world. Reality is like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, and a shadow. As dew and lightning, thus should you meditate upon them. Every illusion is real and true, is where the real spirit and soul dwell, and where the great universe is. Consciousness is illusory, but reality is the reflection and projection of consciousness. The consciousness determines the state of life's existence. Wishes are illusory, yet they lead to reality. Ideals are illusory, yet they accomplish life's reality. Visualized prospects are illusory, but according to the principle of visualized thinking, it is they that determine the future. Love is illusory, but it can inject huge spirit and soul energy into people. Heaven is illusory, but we all want to go there. As long as we dream of heaven, we will be able to overcome the hardships of life's journeys and lead optimistic and positive lives. Dreams are illusory, but when we are in dream worlds, the illusions look very real. We think of our day-to-day lives as being real because everything in them seems very real and true. But what is the difference between the truth of reality and the truth of dreams? One day, when we finally leave this real world and wake up in another illusory world, we will find out that life is only a dream, an illusion. What are illusions? What is reality? The bygone is like mist and smoke, like a dream or a fantasy. The future truth is illusory and looming. To walk slowly or quickly, there are many roads to take in life. To take with good means or bad, in the end, it is all empty. The wilderness where foxes sleep and hares walk was once a dance hall. The bleak and desolate field where flowers and grass grow was once a battlefield. The bygone realness now becomes illusory, and the illusion of the future will evolve into reality. Reality comes from illusions and will return to illusions. Illusions originate from truth and will become reality. Everything is but a game. Only the soul is true. Reality is a game. Those who obsess with reality and are trapped in it are confused. Those who take delight and fun in it are awakened. It makes no sense to try to hold on to the reality of a dream. The real life is to play the games. The contents of them are determined by illusory consciousnesses. Illusory consciousnesses are determined by souls. Souls are real, but nature is life and a characteristic of structure. Structure determines nature. Therefore, the non-material structure of life is ultimately, absolutely real. However, reality and illusion are dialectical. Real structures give rise to illusory consciousnesses. Illusory consciousnesses in turn produce real structures. Therefore, our top priority should be to concentrate our efforts on the illusory consciousness of life. The type of illusory consciousness decides the future reality of life. Illusions become realities and realities become unreal. If you have a beast's illusory consciousness, then you will eventually live in a beast's reality. If you have a celestial being's illusory consciousness, then you will eventually live in the celestial world. Once you understand the dialectical relationship between reality and illusions, you should not be lost in reality. Consume your time and energy on things there, cling to and worry about them, seize, possess, compete for, or persist after them. You should take reality as a stage in a game and play it to its fullest. As long as you get happiness, joy, freedom, and blessing, then your life is successful, wise, and full. To own nothing is to have everything. Not to act is to act. Hold fast to illusions, and you can have reality. Having reality is, after all, an illusion. Life is a journey. The more things that you possess in reality, the more misery you will have, and the more pathetic you will become because your life will all be a tragedy. The more illusory things that you possess, the happier and more affluent you will be because your life will ultimately become a comedy. 宇宙八大辩证法, the 8 dialectics of the universe. Xiefeng. Translated by Transin and edited by Care. Taiji thinking teaches us that everything in the universe comes from the unity of opposites and the symmetry of yin and yang. Opposing sides exist in the same unity. One is the condition for the other and disappears when the other does. Within a certain range, one flourishes as the other declines. Extremes meet and things develop in opposite directions when they become extreme. For example, know the male, but conform to the female. Sages put themselves last but find themselves in front. They regard their bodies as accidental and are thereby preserved. Life is the root of death and death is the root of life. Yin and yang are the roots of each other. To yield is to be preserved whole. To be bent is to become straight. To be hollow is to be filled. To be tattered is to be renewed. The growth and decline, the generating, sustaining, destroying, and changing of any two opposites are dialectical. There are 8 dialectics in the universe. Form is emptiness and emptiness is form. When things exhaust, they revive. When they end, they begin anew. The small can grow big. Details matter. Life and death are the roots of each other. Yin flourishes when yang declines. To have nothing is to have everything. To have everything is to have nothing. Where the mind abides nowhere, nature prevails. Where the mind abides somewhere, nature recedes. Stillness and motion coexist. Light and dark are interdependent. Positive and negative are symmetrical, but proportion restrains. Form is emptiness and emptiness is form. The 3 elements of the universe are consciousness, structure, and energy. They are all non-material. The existence of any single element is emptiness. See it, and you will not see its form. Hear it, and you will not hear its trace. Meet it, and you will not know its face. Follow it, and you will not find its back. Once the 3 join together, though, there is lustrous and dazzling form, changing countlessly and into a myriad of images. Therefore, form comes from emptiness and emptiness is form. When emptiness comes, there is form, because form is emptiness. If a mind abides in form, it is in emptiness. If a mind abides in emptiness, it is in form. You pursue form, but form is never there. You pursue emptiness, and you get form. Pursuing form results in emptiness. Pursuing emptiness results in form. When things exhaust, they revive. When they end, they begin anew. Extremes meet. Things develop in opposite directions when they become extreme. When you reach your peak, you go downhill. Extreme happiness leads to sorrow, and extreme sorrow leads to happiness. Extreme yin is yang and extreme yang is yin. The softest becomes the hardest, and the hardest becomes the softest. There is a time to rise and a time to fall. When a thing reaches its prime, it will be old and will revive. The end of the infinitely big is the infinitesimally small, and the end of infinitesimally small is the infinitely big. When something saturates, a qualitative change happens in it. Things change at critical points and new substances are produced. Extreme beauty leads to ugliness, and extreme ugliness leads to beauty. Extreme goodness forms evil, and extreme evil forms goodness. That is, great virtue is no virtue and great benevolence is heartless. Haste makes waste. One who understands Tao appears dull of comprehension, and one who advances in Tao appears to slip backwards. To pursue happiness, you must avoid extremes. To revive, go for the extreme. The small can grow big. Details matter. Matter is composed of molecules, composed of atoms. A tree with a full span's girth begins from a tiny sprout. A 9-storied terrace begins with a clod of earth. From small beginnings, one can see how things will develop and grow. Difficulties are overcome by easy things. Great things are accomplished by the details. Details matter. Deal with the big while it is yet small. Deal with the difficult while it is yet easy. Start from the beginning and start from the small, but do not lose track of the big picture. Molehills make mountains. Do not neglect small things, or you will never accomplish big things. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. Any future success depends on the present. Small details and tiny things lead to grand achievements. Life and death are the roots of each other. Yin flourishes when yang declines. Life is the root of death and death is the root of life. No life, no death, no death, no life. Life and death alternate, and each follows the other. Yang flourishes when yin declines, and yin flourishes when yang declines. Every moment of every day has birth and death. One dies here, but is born there. Hard is born as soft dies. Good is born as evil dies. One departs from the mortal world and is born into the celestial world. A human heart dies, and the heart of a celestial being is born. If you keep the old, you will get nothing new. If you are selfish, you will never reach the Elysium world. Out of life, death enters. Those who are not afraid of death will live. The created universe carries yin at its back and yang in front, and vice versa. Seek life, and you will die. Seek death, and you will live. To have nothing is to have everything. To have everything is to have nothing. Out of nothing, there is something. The less you possess, the more you have. The more you possess, the less you have. When you possess nothing, you can have everything. When you have everything, you can possess nothing. The more you have, the more emptiness you feel, the more illusory it is, and the more real it is. Walk into the spiritual Pure Land, and you will see a wonderful world. Pursue wealth, power, and lust, and you will have endless troubles. Being and non-being interconnect in growth. If you want to have something in heaven, give it up in the mortal world. To have nothing is to have everything. By the existence of things, we profit, and by the non-existence of things, we are served. Work on non-existence for existence. Where the mind abides nowhere, nature prevails. Where the mind abides somewhere, nature recedes. Nature is the quality of origin, which is Buddha. The reason that people cannot attain Buddhahood is that their minds abide somewhere. If their minds abided nowhere, they would attain Buddhahood. When one's mind abides nowhere, nature shows. When their mind abides somewhere, nature recedes. This is dialectical. One advances as the other retreats. Different forms give birth to different souls. When minds abide somewhere, trouble comes. Therefore, if your mind abides somewhere, it will be in falsehood. It should not abide in form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or dharma. It should abide nowhere. When the mind abides nowhere, it can abide everywhere. And when the soul can transcend over all forms and show the nature, one can reach the Elysium world. He who focuses too much on the specific cannot see the general. A mind that abides somewhere cannot go to the Elysium world. One who acquire enlightenment can perceive nature. One who lack mind can show nature. Stillness and motion coexist. Light and dark are interdependent. Stillness is the source of motion. It cannot be dynamic if it is not static. Motion is the root of stillness. It cannot be static if it is not dynamic. Stillness and motion coexist and come from each other. Strong motion comes from great stillness. Great stillness comes from strong motion. All things derive from stillness but are accomplished in motion. Without stillness, there is no motion. Without motion, there are no accomplishments. Light comes out of darkness and darkness comes from light. Heaven and hell, one light and the other dark. Extreme darkness is light and extreme light is darkness. Fortune and adversity go together. Out of waste grows grass. Bliss is unfelt until after it leaves. Good fortune lies within bad. Bad fortune lurks within good. Non-interference with natural rules and letting all things happen naturally. Those who act at the wrong times spoil things. One should never fear the dark. Out of extreme darkness comes light. Knowing the dialectic of the universe, one can enjoy the light cautiously, for from extreme light comes darkness. Positive and negative are symmetrical, but proportion restrains. Those who differ from the crowd will be slandered. An outstanding tree in the forest will be destroyed by wind. Those who enjoy great fame will be envied, but those who are most favored will be slandered. 36-dimensional space is arranged symmetrically. The forces of action and reaction are equal but in opposition. All things reinforce and neutralize each other mutually. There is always one thing to overcome the other. There is heaven and there is hell. All things develop in proportion. Chaos and the early devastation were the results of imbalance. Boundless avarice leads to disaster. Conform to nature and give up inordinate ambitions. Understand that everything has two sides and that perfection is unattainable. Rivers run into the sea, so you can never drink them all. Tao is the theory of yin and yang. Maintaining a balance between the two is rational. Knowing the dialectic principle is wise, and complying with the laws of nature can be regarded as virtue. 如何解脱生死? How to Liberate Yourself from Life and Death. Xiefeng. Translated by Transin and edited by Care. The subtlety of liberating oneself from life and death in The Treasury of the True Dharma Eye is that Buddha Sakyamuni had held a flower in his hand as he smiled in the Lingshan Mountain Assembly. Only his first disciple, Mahakassapa, understood why and gave a faint smile. Buddha said, "I possess the true Dharma Eye, the marvelous mind of nirvana, the true form of the formless, and the subtle Dharma gate that does not rest on words or letters, but is a special understanding outside of the scriptures." Mahakassapa later explained his understanding directly to Ananda, who gave it to Shanavasa, and all the way to Bodhidharma, the 20th patriarch of Buddhism. When the 27th patriarch, Prajnatara, gave it along with a robe and begging bowl to Bodhidharma, he said, 60 years after I attain nirvana, I want you to take these 3 things from India to China and carry Buddhism forward to benefit all living people." Bodhidharma took Zen Buddhism to China and was regarded as the first Chinese Zen Buddhist patriarch. He eventually passed them to Haik, the 2nd patriarch, who passed them to Sankhan, the 3rd patriarch, then to Daoxin, the 4th patriarch, and to Hongren, the 5th patriarch. When Master Hongren told about them, he was met with some trouble because he found that the real successor should be the unknown handyman Huaining in the monastery instead of the highly reputed and admirable Professor Master Shenxiu. It would be very unconvincing to all if everything passed directly to Huaining. In a desperate way, he said, "The lives and deaths of mortals are matters of huge importance, but you only pursue the land of promise without seeking to be away from the bitter sea of life and death. If you lose your nature, then how can blessings bring you salvation? Both of you, write me a stanza. He who understands what the essence of mind is will be given the robe, the insignia of the patriarchate, and the Dharma, the ultimate teaching of the Zen school, and I shall make him the 6th patriarch." With a small trick, he finally gave his treasures to Master Huaining. Master Huaining was the 6th and final patriarch of Zen. The treasury of the true Dharma Eye and the robe and begging bowl were lost after him. I used to joke that I am the 7th patriarch of Zen, and that I have written on Zen by the 7th patriarch of Zen 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which are the most heavily weighted 5 articles of all my writings. Now the question, as instructed in Buddha's Treasury of the True Dharma Eye, this subtle Dharma gate, does not rest on words or letters, but is a special message outside of the scriptures, becomes how to transfer from mind to mind. If I were to tell it with words, then I would be rebelling against the teachings of Buddha. So, if not expressing with words, how can we know how to liberate ourselves from the samsara of life and death? To make the best of both worlds, I can only slide over the water. Whether you can be liberated from life and death all depends on your level of practicing Tao, your destiny, and your root of wisdom. There is no life or death in life. The life and death seen by the world is an illusion. It is the evolved deduction of the carrier of life. Life has nothing to do with time. So life has no limitations of time and is beyond all ages. The nature of life is non-material structure. The form rendered by life is decided by its non-material structure. Its non-material structure decides the form rendered by it. Consciousness originates from structure and in turn controls structure. Human consciousnesses make people. Animal consciousnesses make animals, and if you develop your consciousness to that of a celestial being or a Buddha, then you will become a celestial being or a Buddha. Life is a cycle of reincarnations. The death we commonly see is not the death of life itself, but the phenomenon of life transformation. Life travels from one dimension into another, from one world into another, through the gate of life and death. When a life crosses that gate, from this field, we see it as is death. But from the other field, it is life. All dharmas are marked with emptiness. They neither begin nor end, are neither immaculate nor defiled, and neither complete nor deficient. Therefore, in emptiness there are neither forms, feelings, perceptions, impulses, nor consciousness. Neither eyes, ears, noses, tongues, bodies, or minds. Neither sights, sounds, smells, tastes, touchables, or any sensations, and so on until we have form. There are no mind consciousness elements, no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, until we have form. There is no decay and death, No extinction of decay and death. No suffering, no origination, no stopping, no path. No cognition, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, it is because of their non-attainmentness that bodhisattvas, through having relied on the perfection of wisdom, dwell without thought coverings. In the absence of thought coverings, they have not been made to tremble, have overcome what can upset, and in the end, have attained nirvana, to be free from life and death. When you are liberated from life and death, you can attain nirvana. If you understand the truth above, then you can be liberated from the samsara of life and death. The problem is that as mortals, we have fleshy eyes and mortal stalks. As we cannot see higher dimensional space and worlds, we are not fully convinced of the above truths. Then what? It is easy. Follow the guide and verify, step by step. What are those things that hinder us from liberating from the samsara of life and death? The answers are greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and suspicion. Greed is the want to always possess more out of self-interest. Anger is to detest, blame, and envy. Ignorance is the belief that you are always right and never wrong. Arrogance is self-importance, pretentiousness, disdain, defiance, and the lack of a gracious, cherishing heart. Suspicion is being full of doubts and not facing the facts. It is hypocritical, false, and self-deceiving. Overcoming greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and suspicion will enable you to understand this truth and will liberate you from the samsara of life and death. The reason is very simple and easy to do, but putting it into real practice is difficult. After being liberated from life and death, one also needs to understand where to go after death. If you are heading to the lower world, then you will be miserable. 宇宙全息一 Cosmic Holography I. Xiefeng. Translated by Transin and edited by Care. The universe runs in holographic order and consists of the distributed psychic energy of the greatest creator, Tao, just as we humans are composed of the flesh and spirit of the same. From the infinitely cosmic to the infinitesimally tiny, each are closely related and connected together. I am in you, and you are in me. On the macro scale, energy fills the space and time of the entire universe, while Tao controls the operation, development, and changes of all things and within it. Therefore, it is an organic whole, and the seemingly unconnected multiple celestial bodies, phenomena, and people are its constituent parts, its cells. So the universe is holographic. On the micro scale, atoms, molecules, and people are consortiums of structure and energy which have mutual interaction with everything else and together belong to the unity of Tao and energy. So the universe is holographic. I'll try to pierce your toe with a needle. You will feel muscles tightening throughout your body, and your brain will jump with an immediate emergency response. If a lover or your parents are next to you, they will also react promptly. Why? Because you are holographic. I'll turn your computer on and access the web. Global data will stream onto your screen as you search. Why? Because the internet is holographic. L-arthritis sufferers can sense rain while the weather is still dry, and many animals can detect seismic disturbances before the earth shakes. Why? Because the earth is holographic. The waning and waxing of the moon raises and lowers the tides, and sunspots directly affect climatic changes and the rhythms of life on the earth. Why? Because the solar system is holographic. Cosmic holography also means that the whole contains all of its parts, and all of its parts contain the whole. Our bodies are constituted of 130 trillion cells, and each of them contain all the information of the human body. That is, when they all assemble together, they constitute a complete human individual. Each cell is just an insignificant component, but when we divide them individually, each one can form a human body. Viewing them with Buddha's eyes, each of them is a complete human body with 5 senses, 7 holes, bones, hair, internal organs, 4 limbs, flesh, skin, and so forth. If we split a single cell, we will find that this inconceivable cell is made up of an equal number of even more inconceivable ones. Our complete image can be seen in a mirror, but if we break that mirror in half, then each half will reflect our complete image. That is, we will have 2 images. Break it in half again, and we will have 4 identical images, and so on. If we break this mirror into millions, billions, or even trillions of pieces, we will still see our complete image in each and every one of them. The number of potential images is countless. Even if a seed has not been planted in soil to take root, sprout, blossom, and bear fruit, its whole entity, the shape of its leaves, growth patterns, and so on can be seen with Dharma eyes. We cannot see the shape of a bud if we do not know what type it is, and without referring to its blade with naked eyes, and we will not know how big it will grow, but we can see its size and shape by looking at it holographically. If you cut a growing leaf in half, then its whole image will be visible from the remaining half, and you can see its entirety from either half. All things are like this because the universe is holographic. Now that we know that the universe is holographic, our worldview and outlook on life will take a subversive leap. If we want to understand the Tao of Lao Tzu, the Dharma of Sakyamuni, and the thinking and scientific theory of Jesus, we will understand it thoroughly and at a glance, and our spiritual perception will open. Those with deeper roots can develop a series of special magical powers and arts and will feel at ease in dealing with the affairs of their daily lives. For example, one big distress in life is the love between men and women. Between lovers and married couples, one always expects the other to be faithful and pure, but if they learn that the other is having a secret relationship with a third party, then they become distressed and sad, and no matter how much effort the other exerts to vindicate themselves, "I love you just as much, I really do," it will be useless, because their credibility will have been lost. "You cannot be true to me if you also love that person, and your love is false and the love that you offer me is incomplete," would be the responses. Their distress is caused by not understanding the holographic nature of the universe. From the holographic universe perspective, if someone loves several people, even hundreds, thousands, millions, or billions of people, their love for each of them can be complete, true, and absolutely complete. It is like seeing oneself in a mirror. There is one self in one mirror, two selves in two mirrors, and a billion selves in a billion mirrors, but each is complete. Buddha can incarnate and rescue trillions because Buddha knows that the universe is holographic and Buddha is holographic. Conversely, if I am loved by 10,000 women, even if they also love other men, but I believe that their love for me is wholehearted and complete, then I will gladly accept their love. Likewise, if I love 10,000 women, then my love for each of them can still be true and complete. Why should you have to cling on to just one? Life is short. Does it matter if you love more than one? Other truths can be inferred accordingly. In short, oneness of man and nature, universal holography, subtle wisdom, and depth of understanding reincarnate into trillions. 宇宙全息2. Cosmic Holography II. Xiefeng. November 3, 2005. Translated by Treasure and edited by Care. Cosmic holography means that the universe really is alive, that everything in the universe shares the same breath and destiny, and that any local change, directly or indirectly, affects its entirety. A storm on Mars can cause colds on Earth, the death of a whale in the Pacific Ocean can cause grief in Nile River fish, and a butterfly flapping its wings in Alaska can cause a storm in the Cape of Good Hope. This is an extreme and exaggerated expression, but it conforms to theory of cosmic holography. An article by Xiefeng will inspire the awakening of human consciousness as a whole. This is an extremely exaggerated expression, but it conforms to theory of cosmic holography. The purpose of understanding things is not only to appreciate them, but also to use them to serve us and to maximize our freedom. Taking the way of the greatest creator is not for suffering or enduring hardship, but to maximize our enjoyment of life and to obtain more joy, pleasure, and happiness. To understand cosmic holography is not only to enrich our own knowledge, because gaining knowledge is not our purpose, but to apply it to serve ourselves and others. How can we make the knowledge of cosmic holography help us to navigate through life? Since the universe is holographic, the greatest creator, gods, and Buddha are all in us because we are the cells of each of them. A cell contains all the information about the universe as a whole, and in the same way, devils also live within us. When our hearts are filled with love for all lives in the universe, then we have the character of the greatest creator. And when we show mercy to all lives, then we have the character of God and Buddha. But when our hearts are filled with hatred, weighing and balancing everything for our own self-interests, then we take on the character of devils. Since the universe is holographic and each cell contains the information of the whole, then by understanding and appreciating ourselves, we can know all the mysteries of the universe, sense future changes and trends of the universe, and acquire information about the universe's past, all from our own present. Since the universe is holographic, it shows that our memories exist not only in our brains, but also in each cell of our whole bodies, and even in the space and time of the entire universe. Our brains are just sensors, and through it, we can extract records from hundreds, thousands, even millions of years. We can not only trace our own history over the past millennia, but maybe even recall the historical process of the evolution of the universe. Whether 2a 2, less prophecies, divination before saddle horses, Mayan or Martian prophecy, Tibetan remote sensing prophecy, revelations, or any other prophetic manuscript, they are all evidence of cosmic holography. They prove that people are able to accurately predict the future as well as to recall images after several years, decades, and even centuries. Since the universe is holographic, we humans are able to see the entirety of the universe, to see the Milky Way system and the planets that exist outside of it, and to picture the images of the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium world. 36-dimensional space is no longer mysterious and incomprehensible. When a small thorn is placed on one's toe, their brain will feel it instantly and react accordingly. Similarly, everyone's words and deeds are sensed instantly by the greatest creator and also reacted to immediately, which means that you reap what you sow, good will be rewarded with good and evil will be punished with evil, and that causation is the iron law of the universe. So we can believe firmly that we will receive the proper return for our self-refinery and self-cultivation. The dream world is the symbol of holography which proves that we live in other spaces at the same time, and that we are just a fragment of the holography of this moment. Based on how we feel and express ourselves in reality, we can know where our other self or selves live. If one has Buddha nature, then their negative self is in the Elysium world. If one is cultivating themselves to become a celestial being, then their negative self is in the Celestial Islands continent or the 10,000-year world. If one yearns for a free, joyous, and blessed life without family relationships, then their negative self is in the 1,000-year world. If one has deep love for the human world, then their negative self is elsewhere within the mortal world. If one enjoys fighting, striving, robbing, and seizing, or the law of jungles, then their negative self is in the animal world. If one enjoys dark and selfish activities, then their negative self is in hell. In A Brief History of Time, the great scientist Stephen Hawking realized that there is an anti-universe with anti-humans, and quantum mechanics vaguely detects antiparticles. For particles and antiparticles, however far apart they seem to connect, and they can respond to each other and interact instantly. Therefore, we can infer that every Chanyuan celestial's negative ego, or anti-ego, is in heaven. What we need to do now is improve our consciousness, bring it into closer alignment with heaven, and return to our home. That is to say, to leave our mortal consciousness and let our subconsciousness return to its source. Since the universe is holographic, we are not afraid of death. As long as consciousness exists, we can incarnate trillions of times and project ourselves into boundless worlds. I am the universe is me, so we can attain Buddhahood. With regard to this cosmic holography theory, I put forward the above 8 aspects as a starting point. I cast a brick to attract jade. However, we can draw 80 or even 800 more examples. From a sample, you may judge the whole, make efforts to draw an analogy based on a theory, let the fire of inspiration twinkle everywhere and always, and grasp the secrets of life as early as possible. For years upon years, after days and nights with sunrises and sunsets, people have been living so, back and forth. Is this the time to change to a new lifestyle? If not, there will be no end to our troubles and suffering. The Secret of Time. Xiefeng, January 5, 2006. Translated by Transin and edited by Care. Eternity is long, very long. It runs endlessly. Beginning, developing, changing, and concluding is ornamented by the waves of time. The universe flies in eons. Life twists and turns in years. Love and hate rise and fall in summer and winter. Feelings of gratitude and resentment emerge and disappear in spring and autumn. Time, mysterious time, the wonderful experience of bringing forth the new from the old, drowning the vicissitudes of transitional times, transforming hope into despair, and turning solids into gas and smoke. Life rises and falls in time. It goes up and down in time. Time, what exactly is time? It is the recorder of material cycles. It begins with the creation of matter and ends with its demise. It has these 8 characteristics. Time is non-material. It is untraceable, formless, stateless, shapeless, heartless, senseless, invisible, untouchable, and can neither be heard nor caught. Time is positive and negative. Future time is positive. Past time is negative. Time is particular and universal. Its particularity applies to the specific. Its universality applies to the general. Time is variable. It progresses unevenly. It changes as physical movement changes and disappears as physical movement disappears. Time exists throughout all physical space. It is as big as the universe and as small as particles. Where there is matter, there is time. Time is vertical and horizontal. It manifests itself vertically as the past, present, and future, and horizontally as momentary and eternal. Time has different meanings under different forces. It changes as gravity and acceleration change, but has the same meaning under the same forces. Time expands, contracts, and disappears. The quality, shape, and motion of matter cause it to contract or expand with changes in any of those. When matter disappears, time disappears. There is no time in the non-material world. Non-matter is a reaction to matter, but does not share any of its properties. All matter proceeds through generation, development, decline, and death, but non-matter has neither life nor death, so it has no time and is eternal. Tao, life's spiritual entity, ideas, spirits, thoughts, dharmas, the nature of Tathagata, celestial beings, angels, and the Elysium world do not have time. Therefore, the non-material world is eternal. Since the motion of matter is absolute, we perceive that all things run in time. In this sense, time changes everything and decides all. It can transform the decadent into magic and the ordinary into extraordinary. Everything changes with the passage of time. Along the eternal river of time, all matter is transitional, illusory, and valueless. Time's control must end in order for one to achieve an eternal existence. As humans, it is to fish for the moon in water or to plow the air for our bodies to break away from our shackles, so the human body must follow its nature. To leave time, we must work on our spiritual entities. Life is short, and the spiritual entity of life has many different directions in which to spread. Perfect spiritual entities go to heaven and defective ones go to hell. If we can perfect our spiritual entities within our limited lifetimes, then we can transcend time. In addition to transcending time, we must also work on our non-matter by revering and taking the way of the greatest creator. To roam in ideas, thinking, spirits, and other areas is to deal with eternity and to transcend time maximally and from within the confines of a limited time. When fruits ripen, they fall. When water flows, channels form. Once we make this breakthrough, we can enter horizontal space and time and immediately feel fresh and enchanted. Please refer to Time and Space of the Universe for further study. 横向时间